Okay, welcome back to the next episode of, episode or session. I really got hung up on that keyword. It doesn't really matter. Welcome to the next installment of the Storm Age mini not so campaign, mini series, short story, um, whatever, novella, however you want to classify it.
Oh.
Last episodes, we had our protagonist, Joe, uh, become buddy buddy with a couple of Antivan crows who she promptly and sadly had to part ways with after she decided the life of one Quinari woman was more valuable than the two Antivan gentlemen. How will Joe reconcile with this? We don't know. But nonetheless, she made her choice. One woman greater than two boys. It's just facts. And
Easy.
yep. And she proceeded to go down uh, uh, east, down a tributary, not off of the Mariner River, but associated with the Mariner River. And after some time, some personal relationship exploration, and some little spooky dreams, she got to a fork in the river that has now led her to the cusp, the outskirts of a small group of Dalish elves. And small being relative because it's still a significant population, but as an Orlesian woman, Joe herself, she grew up in a city that contains thousands, whereas, the Dalish elves work in the lower hundreds of people around and about. So
Merry little band.
it's a merry little band, a cute little assortment of people,
Yeah.
and they are none the wiser that this little Missy here is coming up to who knows what, do who knows what. And that's what we're here to discover today. So, Pearl, is there any other details that I left out from my recap that you'd like to highlight, or did I nail it essentially?
I think, yeah. I mean, yeah, in a few sentences, I think you got it. The last thing in my notes is Dalish Elves with a lot of exclamation points, so I think that we're at a good spot.
Okay. So, Joe, you and Cerebos are up the shore quite a bit of ways, about several hundred meters from these Dalish elves who seem to be paying you no mind, and
But they
are
have noticed me, I think.
yeah, make a perception check to see if anyone's noticed you.
Okay. See. Oh, wow, we're not starting off very hot. We are not starting off very hot. Oh, what the frick? Oh, wait, frick. Okay, wait, okay. Um, perception, perception. Oh no.
Seeing.
Uh, that is a hot nine, but I got doubles, so consider that.
Yeah, so with how far away it is, you can basically make out that everyone's going about their business just the same. If they do perceive your presence, they're certainly not threatened, and if they don't notice your presence, well, then it goes without saying that they would not be acting any differently. You don't
Hmm.
notice any potential scouts, um, but that's also because you don't necessarily know where to look, as you are kind of new to
This.
this kind of environment and this kind of situation. So you're unsure with what their status is. If you would like to scream and wave, you would certainly get attention and acknowledgement, but that's if you choose to do so.
Uh, no, no, I don't think so. Um, as much as I think that'd be fun, I don't think so. I think I'll try and maybe just we're pretty far off. We're up the shore. Um, would I be walking like along the shore to like approach them, or would it be like kind of through the woods still?
Yeah, so how it kind of looks is like you guys parked your little canoe on the shore up the at the very point of the fork essentially. You walked down the right side of the fork and the riverbank here goes up pretty steep and cuts into the woods, which uh, you could take the woods back, but the shore is kind of a straight shot. But obviously, if you are skeptical of whether you want to be so visible, maybe the force is the better route. But also, you don't know what's in the woods, so
Yeah.
both ways would get you there. There's no difference, and one would not be clearly blocking you off. But the riverbank is a bit steep.
I think that I've been slightly humbled today, and the day before. So I will turn to Sarah Boss and get her opinion on the approach.
How do you do that?
Um, I will just turn and say, um, Sarah Boss, would you, in your um opinion, do you think that we should approach the Dalish elves through the woods or along the shoreline? What do you think would be less threatening or be more culturally acceptable?
Um, Sarah Boss would look at you and she would nod and say, Joe, I believe it wouldn't make a difference. The Dalish elves know we are here. They've probably known far longer than we have known of them, suffice to say. They are the purveyors of these woods, and would notice near anyone traveling in the near vicinity. So it makes no difference to me. It is whatever
Oh,
your preference is.
right. That makes sense. Well, let us go along the river side then.
She'll nod, and you guys will begin to walk down the riverside. You know, shoes clicking on the little wet rocks of the shore, and some would say you may be even kicking rocks. And uh, as you get closer, you take in some more details of the Dalish elves and their people. You see uh, a lot of individuals in the woods surrounding the encampment, just basically looking around for, let's say, berries and other edible materials, whether it's just leaves off of particular plants or, again, just anything basic foraging necessities. In addition to that, you will see these big kind of like tent structures that are kind of strapped to wagons, which you have read about uh, and have heard about since there are Dalish elves kind of in the Orlesian area, although they may differ culturally. A lot of the technology implemented is rather similar. So you would kind of know these structures from your readings as Aravels, Aravels, and these are kind of like very self-explanatory. They are kind of the wagons of the Dalish people, able to be pulled by Halla, but also are kind of facilitated by Dalish magic, as they have these kind of not small but like unassuming rudders on the back of them that help kind of propel the wagons themselves. You'll see multiple Aravels parked with tents scattered around the Aravels connecting And tent is a little diminishing. I would say canopies that are developed around these aravels. And around this area, you'll see Halla walking around the white deer-like creatures with, you would describe the antlers kind of akin to an antelope, and you would see just a bunch of Dalish people going about their business. And as you start to approach, some people look in your direction, visually register you, and you can kind of see them have murmurings amongst each other. You can't hear anything, but you know that they see you and recognize, not necessarily recognize you, but they acknowledge that your presence and that you're approaching, and now they're talking amongst each other. Um, and none of them are necessarily taking out their weaponry or armaments, but they are paying attention now as you approach.
Yeah, that checks out. Um, I think as I just kind of walk, I just kind of smile nicely at everyone who kind of, I don't know if they're making eye contact with me, but everyone that is kind of like look at me, I just kind of smile at them. Um, I don't think I want to start speaking to them yet, but
How close would you approach?
ugh. um, does it look like there's like a spot that is like the entrance to their camp? Like they're like
No.
distances? No, is there?
Give me a lore check, and I'll give you a little bit more details, like a cultural lore check.
Okay. Okay, that's a lot better roll. That is a 17.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. Yeah, with the 17, you've read actually quite a bit from the Dalish peoples and how they kind of interact or interface with differing cultures. You know that
Mhm.
at their in the worst case scenarios, because Dalish historically have issues with members of other races, particularly humans, due to the fact that humans historically have enslaved elves with reckless abandonment. Like no, like it's still happening in parts of Thedas today. It's not
Yeah.
uncommon, and in you would be. It's not the hardest thing to find a, let's say, modern developed area, and uh, elvish enslavement is considered socially acceptable or tolerable. So you know that some Dalish hold resentments because of that, but you also know some Dalish are kind of uh, not necessarily aloof to that, but they don't make that issue kind of the first thing that they think about when they see other races. They typically just mind their business, and that's because at the heart of it all, Dalish people are very nomadic and are almost always on the move for one reason or another, predominantly picking up the pieces of the old Dalish kingdoms, to the two big ones being the Dales and then Elven Harel. And so, as it comes with the territory of nomadic species or groups of people, or herds, tribes, clans, they don't operate necessarily with boundaries, borders, or any sort of like armaments that give you the impression of a fortress. So when you say front entrance, there is no front entrance. There is just the encampment. You just walk and you are there.
Mm.
And there are differing canopies of different import. You could probably assess like, oh yeah, the big main one is probably the one where the keeper resides, and some of the ones on the outskirts are predominantly for the socially less import individuals, the ones that are probably primarily foraging or hunting. And then as you get closer to the center of the encampment, social structure kind of climbs just a little bit higher. But because they're nomadic, the gap between the leader of a Dalish clan and the quote unquote bottom of the totem pole is really not that far.
Hmm. Okay. In that case, I think. Hmm, would she address? I think as soon as she's getting to the point where like she was getting kind of close to just any of their thing, um, no matter like who, and she would kind of like start to maybe search for someone to speak with, or like at least like try to look more like she's asking for permission, but I don't know if she will ask for permission until she like gets to someone she thinks would be have some kind of authority.
So you're just gonna stand outside the outskirts and just wait for someone to talk to you?
No, no, I'm gonna walk in, but like once I get to the spot, this like the parts where like okay, now I'm like kind of like walking amongst their stuff. Um, I definitely want to be a lot more like careful, and if anyone like comes to speak with me, I will speak with them. But I'm looking for someone that like seems like they're not just a not gosh. Pearl doesn't want to say just a berry picker, but
Yeah,
um
that's kind of racist.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But Joe's like, I'm looking for someone with some kind of authority, not just a berry picker.
Okay, well, let's do this then. As you're walking throughout the encampment, this is a new kind of experience for you interacting with this type of people, and you you don't know what's important, what's not important, and necessarily how to navigate it. So let's just do an acrobatics check to make sure that you're not fucking with anyone's shit or just ruining anything. And Sarah Boss will make a roll as well to make that sure that she is not.
Fucking with anyone's shit.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
that's just dexterity, right?
Dexterity, yes, unless you have a focus in acrobatics.
I do not.
Sarah Boss got a 12, so she is
I got
perfectly fine.
15.
Okay, good. Well, you guys don't happen to trip and fall onto a canopy or into a Halla or burn
Yeah.
anything. So everything is treated with respect, modesty, and reverence as you proceed through the Dalish encampment. If you would like to make a let's see, do they call it an investigation check? I don't know. I believe it's an investigation check. Is there an HI check? Mm-hmm. So many checks. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, can you make a searching check? And we'll see if you know how to navigate your way through the encampment to some sort of figure of authority.
That's perception, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. 10.
10. So you'll walk around for quite a bit, and like you said, or I said, the difference between an important Dalish individual and a non-import Dalish individual is not really vast. You know that in Orlais, the difference between a commoner or even a peasant and a member of the royal family, a senator, chancellor, duke, duchess, any of those, we'll say, upper class individuals, the gap is very, very apparent. Whether it's just within their clothes themselves, one being, one social class operating in mostly like sepia tones because they're always in the dirt. And whereas upper class individuals will have ostentatious colors. Maybe they're wearing a mask. Even something as simple as like a fancy hat will set you so clearly apart from all the rest. Whereas the Dalish people, they all kind of wear the same similar kind of garb. They heavily emphasize woven materials, some basic kind of silks, textiles. Sometimes the healers or individuals that deal with magic will have a little bit more leaning towards the nature side with these leaf like braids that incorporate twigs and pines all in the mix. But you don't see anyone that screams, "I am the boss around here." But after some time, and Cerebos is following you in tow, just kind of taking your leadership. After some time, a Dalish individual will step up to you, a male individual, and he will say, "Greetings, I am Haren Perni, and I am this Dalish clan's storyteller.
Oh. How
Who
do you
may you
spell
be?"
for me?
He inquires who you are. Sorry, I think
Oh,
that may have cut off.
no, no, no. I asked you, how do you spell Haren Perni?
Haren is Haren. Pernee is Prinee.
Haren Perni, storyteller. I say, hello, Haren Perni. I am Joe, uh, traveler. And I will give him a bow, a slight curtsy, I suppose, actually.
Um, as you do that, Cerebos will look at you and not necessarily understanding why you're bowing to this other individual, but she doesn't want to necessarily look left out, so she will just like slightly nod her head in affirmation, just kind of like a dude head nod, kind of just towards
Yeah.
her and Pernie, as she doesn't understand, but she doesn't necessarily want to buck the trend going on right now. Um,
Oh,
uh, Pernie will look at you and he will say, "Please, you can just call me Pernie. Haren is a title here in the Dalish Elves that stands for storyteller. But you can do with that what you will. It makes no difference to me. But yes, welcome to the Antivan Dales. How may I or we be of assistance to you today?"
well, we were just passing through the area, and I was wondering, from what I understand, there is no better group of people to ask about the geography of an area than the Dalish Elves. So I was curious if you had any maps or stories about the area around here, or know where exactly we are, and also maybe you have some goods that we could trade.
He ponders everything that you said and he's like, "Yes, that it seems like there's a lot that we can do for you, Joe. Let me take you to the keeper, and we can have further discussions on what you may be able to do for us in exchange for what we may be able to do for you. And that way, we all can go on our merry ways, extremely happy."
Yes, wonderful. Oh, and I'm sorry. This is Sarah Boss.
He will look at Sarah Boss and actually start to acknowledge her, um, her presence, and he will do the same nod that Cerebos did back towards Cerebos, and he will say aloud, "Yes, I am very aware who this is. Um, Welcome to the Dalish Elves. We hope that you get what you need, and nothing more may come with that." And he'll put a little bit of flair on the back
Yeah.
of that tail end of the sentence that you don't necessarily know what that means, because you don't necessarily know what the history of the Quinari and the Dalish Elves, at least in the Antivan area,
Yeah.
is. But before you can press on further, he'll turn around, and his pleasant robes will catch a little bit of a draft as they whoosh around as he turns around, and he'll proceed to walk forward and guide you guys through the camp towards the central kind of canopy area. And as you guys walk through the camp, the murmuring still keep going on, where other people are still kind of like, "Oh wow, look who's here!" All these people, and by these people, it's just two people, and you don't get necessarily a feeling of uncomfortability or unpleasance. But if you want to give me an empathy check, you can maybe see how potentially Cerebos is feeling at the moment.
Okay. I was wondering if I could also attempt to empathy check the guy based on how he addressed Cerebos, or Perny, but I know that I also don't really understand the context. So, but this one's for Cerebos anyway.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Yeah. So I got double sixes. So that is 6 plus 6, 12 plus 3 is 15 plus 3, so 18.
18. Okay. Well, that's incredibly great. I don't know if there's necessarily a stunt that fits the scenario, as it's an empathy check. So we'll say you just do this with excellent success as you pick up exactly from what the rod is giving off, how Cerebos is somewhat feeling. You get the idea that Cerebos is a little uptight. She is definitely on her P's and Q's, but I would, or you would not determine her experience at the moment one of comfortability.
Okay. Peace and of comfortability or uncomfortability. Sorry, I missed that.
You get the feeling that she is uncomfortable.
Okay. And uncomfortable. Can I, with the 18, like put like maybe a good step in the right direction of like keeping an eye on her feelings?
You want to keep track of them?
Yeah, I just want to see if I feel like she gets more uncomfortable than this, because then I might like try and, I don't know, like I would maybe ask her. I would try and like defuse some of the something, if I felt like she gets more uncomfortable than she is right now, because I understand that like what just happened was uncomfortable for her. I just don't want her to. I don't want people to. I don't want her to feel more uncomfortable than she feels right now. That's what I mean.
Yeah. So you can do that. I'll say this: if you're actively gonna try to moderate, I don't even know what that's the right word. If you're actively paying attention to how the rod and its feelings, and we'll say doing a somewhat continuous empathy check, I would say other checks pertaining to perception, for as long as you are paying attention to the rod, will come at disadvantage. Not saying that you're under immediate threat, so you need your perception checks at the moment, but I will say I will allow you to actively monitor. That's what I'm saying. The word I was looking for, not moderate. You can actively monitor, but it would come at that small trade where you would not be the most paying attention to everything else that's going on around you.
Okay. Um, maybe not actively, but I'll keep it in my head to like check in again soon.
You absolutely can do that.
Okay.
You guys will proceed throughout the encampment and get to the central canopy area where not many individuals are currently in. It seems to be a couple of hunters giving a report to an individual kind of behind a desk in this kind of covered but yet open clearing with the canopy hanging over, but fresh dirt beneath your feet. As you begin to approach forward, you get the idea that the two individuals reporting in, are hunters, as they are equipped with very elegant but imposing longbows on their back, are talking to this, we'll say, moderately height individual that's standing behind the desk. As you begin to get closer, Harem Perni will chirp up and he will say, "Keeper." And the two hunters talking to the keeper will look at both of you two. They'll kind of glance at you and your human visage and then take in the all quinariness that is Sarah Boss, and with no words needing to be said, dismiss themselves and exit the tent. The keeper themselves is a, like I said, moderately height Dalish woman that has very cute kind of round features, oval eyes, and pointy ears that kind of come out a little bit of ways, as if like, you know, if you threw her off a cliff, she could glide for a little bit. Like that's how far out they kind of poke out. They could certainly catch a draft. She's wearing a very modest looking kind of, I would say, warrior dress is the best way to kind of put it, but it's really a emerald gold kind of leaf dress that you get the idea that the leaves themselves are not actually leaves, but just like a small kind of mail armor, mail as an mail, mail
Yeah.
armor. And she will look at you two and then look at Perni, and she'll say, "Perni, I see you brought us visitors. How can we assist these visitors today?" And she'll look at you first, and then she'll look at Sarah Boss.
Hmm. Is she addressing me or is she addressing Perni?
Um, she was addressing Perni. I was just seeing if you were going to say anything.
No,
Perni
no,
would
no. I
then.
will. I will
Okay.
let him speak
Yeah.
to the people.
Perni would continue and say, "Yes, Keeper. These two visitors are looking for are some mapping documents related to the geography of the area. In addition, they seek insight of the land and, furthermore, opportunities to trade with us. I'm sure there are other things that they may want, but those were the most immediate requests. I figured, since we have ongoing needs of our own, that we could take advantage of a mutually beneficial situation if you were to allow it." And the keeper will ponder this for a moment, look at some documents on her desk, If you would like, Pearl, could you give me a seeing check to see if you could pick up any details whatsoever on the desk?
See, check his perception. Oh, not great. 9.
Yeah, with a 9, you see several documents on the desk with numerous scrawlings on them, but because it's the classic scenario of you're technically reading something that's upside down and at an angle, you can't really make out much of the details that's on the documentation itself. But the documentation seems to be immediately related to what the hunters were just reporting in recently. Uh, she will look at you two and she'll say, "Yes, I believe we could manufacture a mutually beneficial situation for both of us. Um, if you would do me a favor before I get rush, I apologize. My name is Keeper Grimna. Pleasure to meet you." And she will extend a hand towards you to shake it. Grimna is spelled Grimna, by the way.
Yeah.
And she will extend her hand towards you.
MN or MN?
MN,
Okay.
as in the initials for Minnesota.
MNA. Okay. Yes, I will shake her hand as well. I will reach my hand to her and I'll say, "Nice to meet you, Keeper Grimna. Uh, I am Joe, and this is my companion, Cerebos."
And unwavering, she would say, "Pleasure to meet both of you. I
Oh,
understand that you both have needs, as Prani has just told me. Um, well, luckily, we are actually in need of potential services as well. Um, I would be happy to tell you the details here shortly, but for now, I was wondering if Sarah Boss, if you would mind, me and Joe would have a quick private discussion before uh, we loop you both in on what we are dealing with at the moment." Sarah
um,
Boss will look at the keeper unflinchingly and then take in what she's kind of saying and then look towards you.
um, uh, shit. Can I feel the rod?
Yep, it's cold and it's metal.
Fuck you. Ah, I would, I would ask Cerebos. Is that all right with you, Cerebos?
Sarah Boss, still unwavering, unflinching, will look towards you and she'll say, "Of course. Anything anything that helps us out, Joe." And she will begin to walk outside the canopy area as Keeper will kind of sick Pernie and say, "Pernie, why don't you show Cerebos a little more of our encampment and what we have to offer and see what may interest her."
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Pernie will dismiss himself and
Hmm.
walk away. In tow with Cerebos has he says, "Let me take you to, pardon me, let me show you some of our finest craftsmen uh, that we have in the area, and though some of the work that they do with ironbark." And he,
Oh,
as he, and that's the last word you hear as he kind of leaves the area with
do
Cerebos.
I, do I, Joe, know like all the things that can be done with ironbark?
I would say with how well you rolled on your cultural lore check from earlier, I would say yeah, you would have an understanding of ironbark for sure.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I think I would be like kind of excited by that, but like try not to show it, you know?
Okay, make a self discipline check.
No. No. I forget what am I adding to this? Willpower?
I believe that is a willpower ability.
Okay. Um 11.
Yeah, with an 11, I'll say that you can keep a straight face, but you definitely get a little bit flush when you hear the word Ironbark. Like you're excited by all the things that you have read in the stories, in the books. They're actually
Yeah.
like tangible, real, and attainable. And that just, you can't help but be excited at that potential opportunity.
Yeah.
The keeper, now that it's just you two in the immediate area, will
Mhm.
sit at her desk and usher you to pull up a small wicker chair that's kind of behind you and to sit down.
I will do as she gestures for me to do.
Okay. She will say, Joe, that was your name, right?
Yes,
Uh,
correct.
what was your last name?
Oh, I didn't say, did I? I'll say, um, forgive me, Grimna, I am no longer using it.
Hmm. Yes, I understand. No pressure, nonetheless. Um, she will make a mental note of that as she ponders it and will lean over the desk, elbows not on the desk, as she is a lady with, you know, etiquette.
Fine.
And she will say, let me start off by inquiring why you voluntarily choose to travel with a Quinari.
Ah, yes. Well, as you can, I'm assuming, guess, I'm not from the area. Um, you seem mm, like a very knowledgeable woman, so I won't pretend that I'm, you know, from the forest here. Um, I met Cerebos recently, in an I would say unfortunate circumstance, I suppose. And it made the most sense for us to join forces and travel together for the time being. Um, Cerebos has been nothing but a helpful and kind companion in the time that I've spent with her. Um, it has only been a day or so, but um, I hear that being I am now understanding that uh, walking with the Canary is not seen as what shall I say? Not seen as normal or level-headed.
The keeper will look at you, kind of squinting her eyes, and she'll say, and you yourself seem like a smart woman, Joe. So why don't you answer this question? And I don't think it'll be a tough one, but
Hmm.
why do you think that is?
That people don't travel with the Canary.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand, Canary are in a war with the Antivans right now, and that their culture is much different from many of the other cultures of these parts, especially the Qun, which is something that um, it seems is very well, much either understood very well by others or not at all. I can't quite tell. Um, it seems to me that Kunari are very strong and very they have powerful builds, and I think that that makes them fearsome opponents. Perhaps good allies, but it doesn't seem like that is a common thing because of their culture and how they stick to what the Q tells them to do, which is to not ally with people I believe. Um, I can see why that idea is popular, but from what I understand about Cerebos, um, she is so committed to this what the Qun says of her that as long as I have this rod on my back, Cerebos feels in some way like she must ask me for what she can and cannot do. I don't necessarily think that's right, but if you, it would be a way for me to argue that it is safe to travel with her.
She'll ponder all of the beans that you've spilt, and
Uh oh.
she'll think, well, let me start by getting one thing clear, Joe. The Quinari are not at war with the Antivans. They are at war with Thetis as a whole. It's just the simple issue regarding geography where the war is conveniently pinned on the Antivans. If Antiva were to fall again, like it has had in the past several times, then the war with Antiva would be over for the Quinari, and they would keep going west and south to Ravane, to the Imperium, to eventually Orlais, or eventually Ferelden. What the war that they're fighting is not one of simply conquering. No, this is not a power play. This is a crusade and a cultural genocide. And the association with Quinari is puzzling because while the Dalish have been lucky to largely stay away from the conflict between both warring factions, we are not necessarily immune. We have only gotten away from the quote unquote allies because they already have their own elves. They have their own alienages, and they don't necessarily need us per se. And the only reason why the Quinari haven't conquered us is because we are just too nimble for their resources to adequately track us and pin us down. They are only used to conquering fortresses and castles alike. Anything that one of their big ships can destroy works in their favor, but unfortunately they cannot outmaneuver our Aravels and our Halla. But nonetheless, if they had an opportunity, they would not blink and they would not hesitate. So I do not deny that Cerebos is not doing anything wrong, and I don't argue that you don't have control of her. I'm just stating that this is a convenience for the time and a matter of circumstance, and let's say potentially anything can change, but I don't want to assume that you're a poor judge of character, so if you two would like to be companions, then I cannot decide one way or the other. What I can decide is what you can do for me and what I can do for you. And what you can do for me is help me help my people. because ultimately that is what needs the most immediate attention at the moment. Um, and she will organize the documents kind of on the desk, stack them up neatly, and stand up and look around. And when you guys look around, you know, it's an open area, it's a clearing, but there's a canopy on
Mhm.
top, so you can see outside at people walking around and about. And there are very narrow sight lines where you can peek outside the encampment area. Just small windows where you're like, yep, that is the just barely what I can make out of part of the river off into the distance, and that is a valley off to the north, etc., etc. And she'll look out, and um, you will take in what she's kind of staring at, which is the unmatched ratio of, sorry, let me get the word, Aravels to
Mhm.
Halla. Um, there seems
Ah,
to be many Aravels in this encampment and only a few Halla around. And she's taking in this information. Well, she already is aware of this information, but she's processing the reality of it as she looks out throughout the rest of the encampment. And she'll say to you, within the past, we'll say, months or so, we've been getting our Halla picked off as we've been traveling westward through the north side of the Menanter River. And it's been an issue that has slowly had delirious effects on us. We can't move as fast with less Halla, and we're more at risk of more attacks if this continues. And the the accused in question, I cannot say for sure, but what I do know is that whoever is attacking, it has to be through some sort of magical means, as
mm,
it is one or two wolves that come in the night while we are traveling uh, to pick off our Halla. And as you and I both know, wolves don't really attack in a pack of one or two. Um, there's no such thing as a pack of one or two wolves. Um, and so we assume that there is some magical elements at play, whether these are conjured spirits made to mimic wolves or something else. I can't say for sure, but what I do know is that the wolves don't cease, and anytime I send a hunter out, they don't come back or they don't find anything.
mm.
Um, and so, if you can assist with that,
I I mean, I would be more than happy to assist with that if that meant that we could perhaps get some of that information that you are so knowledgeable about the area and a few, oh, perhaps goods to trade. Um, I believe that's something Sarah Boss and I could hopefully track down for you. Maybe even it would be helpful for us to be the ones to go because they are expecting Dalish to come after them.
she would think about this proposition of how things may play out with a human and a Quinari doing the deed as opposed to Dalish themselves.
Mm,
And she thinks that this is a She likes the proposal. That's what you get from just her face itself. Just with your passive empathy check, you
Mhm.
would just assert that. She would turn around and look back at you, and she would say, "We would be able to procure maps of the area that we've explored, in addition to uh, areas explored past for you, so that you may be able to uh, make copies of your own. And in addition, we would allow our craftsmen and herbalists to trade with you for whatever you may need, on the condition that the root of whatever this wolf issue is put to rest, and I am given proof that it's put to rest."
Mm. I believe that that is reasonable. You have valuable information, and this is a valuable service that we can do for you. Would it be? Oh, I suppose not. We wouldn't want to jeopardize this by sleeping in your camp and having the wolves know that we are here. Um, can I ask around the camp, or is there anyone around the camp that would have information on who they think has done this, or where would be best to search?
She would look at the documents, and she will say, "Yes, the two hunters that were speaking to me earlier, they are the most knowledgeable on the topic, as they have been doing the most in regards to scouting and tracking the wolves in question. So they would be your best sources of knowledge, although I suppose there's nothing necessarily wrong with asking around the camp, but those would be the two strongest sources of information. Um,
Okay.
but if you need anything from me, uh, I will be here, and I will be gleefully awaiting for your arrival back with information that proves that this our Halla issue is put to rest."
Of course. May I ask you one more question?
Yes, of course.
Um, is there any group or person or any information you think is valuable right now for me to have before I speak with the hunters? Could this be Antivan crows? Could this be, do you think it is Kunari? Do you think it is humans? Do you have any evidence one way or the other?
She would ponder this, and she'll think, well, from what I know of other cultures, humans typically like to employ Mabari for any sort of, we'll say, quadpedal activity. Um,
Hmm.
I suppose there's nothing technically ruling this from being some sort of shapeshifter or shapeshifters that are turning into wolves, although I don't have proof neither towards or against the proposal. We're too far north of the Frostback Mountains to be encountering the Avar, and I've heard a tale or two that Avar can employ wolves as part of their brood. Um, so unless this is some feral wolves that are operating outside of a pack, or something potentially spirit related, I don't know if this would be part of a an existing faction at the moment. Um,
Hmm.
but that's the best that I can make with the information that is available to me. So I would let you do with that what you will, and talk to the hunters, and see
Sorry,
if you
one
can.
more. question. I'm sorry to take your time with this, but is there any other Dalish elves in the area? Could be. Would there be any reason for them to attack you?
She will think about this and she'll say, I would find it highly unlikely that we would encounter other Dalish elves in the area unknowingly, and in addition to unknowingly run into them, but that they would have an issue with our Halla to the point where they would be killing them off or making them disappear. Um,
Hmm.
if other Dalish tribes were to want our Halla, we would not have proof of the deaths of these Halla, but rather just only signs that they've been missing, and that's it. Um, so I would say never, but it would be
But
very
it's unlikely.
difficult. Very
Hmm.
difficult to wrap my head around that scenario.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I will speak to your hunters now then.
And she'll nod and say, I wish you the best of luck to you and Cerebos. And she'll wave her hand as a token of dismissal.
And I will give her a curtsy.
You give her a curtsy,
Yeah.
and uh, you are free to do what thou wilt.
First thing I would do would be I would find Sarah Boss and make sure that she's okay and that she was led to the Ironbark person. I trust this Grimna enough that I don't think like she would like have her storyteller put Sarah Boss in a harmful situation right away. But I've also learned very quickly to maybe be less trusting. So I'm going to find Sarah Boss.
Yeah. So, can you give me a perception check,
Yes.
auditory?
Ah, oh, nice. Good. Um, math. Math. It's not coming to me. What is math? Ah, okay. 15.
With a 15, yes. So, as you take a walk outside of the canopy and step into the light where the rest of the uh, encampment is, you'll be surrounded with a bunch of other smaller tents and canopies all around you.
Mm,
But off towards your left, you'll see a small trail that leads to the basically a dirt path that leads to the outskirts of the encampment, but kind of on the other side, a little bit upshore from the river. And
mm.
uh, I should not say upshore, it would be downstream from where you guys parked at the fork. And
Oh.
um, this would be, you would hear loud clanging noises, but one that's not akin to any blacksmith that you have heard in Orlais. Typically, Orlesians work with iron, and in rare scenarios, if it's like a royal guard order or something like that, they'd be working with steel. And
Mm,
this sound that you hear, it has the properties of a standard clang that you would hear from, a hammer smacking down on like molten metal to make a weapon of some sort, but you hear like the faintest, softest, like bassy crunch of almost like a soot or a snapping of a branch or a log, I should say. Those
mm.
deep kind of guttural crunches underneath the clangs themselves. And
Oh.
what you could surmise is that that is one of the craftsmen potentially working on a piece made out of ironbark.
Yes. I would walk towards that way because I am I think Sarah Boss is there, but also I'm kind of excited about it.
Yes. You will walk down through the encampment, down the shore, and you will see Keeper Prina, not Keeper Prina, uh, Harem Prina, not Pre. Jeez, I gotta get my names right and my titles correct. I believe that was correct. Yes, Haren Prini.
For me.
Prini.
Oh,
All
the
right,
page in the notebook. I'm so sad.
I'm tweaking. Haren Prini is standing behind the shoulder of Cerebos, who is watching a ginger elf work with a set of iron bark that is currently being shaved down and kind of molded to being a dagger. Um, they're washing their tools and some of their clothes, some washcloths downstream, and you get the idea that he can do all this type of stuff downstream without fear of repercussion because all of the water gathering and cleaning kind of happens upstream from the encampment. So you see the three of them all together in this little open blacksmithing area that's on the shoreline with coals and a small furnace kind of fuming at the side. And let's see if Prinny takes notice of you as you approach. 10. Prinny actually does not notice you as you approach, but as the crunching of the rocks get a little louder, Cerebos gives a half glance backwards towards you and nods in acknowledgement and goes back to being enraptured by the molding of iron bark as it's being handled with a lot more care and respect than a standard just hot bar of iron ingots. And you'll approach, and as you get very close, Cerebos will say aloud, "I hope your talks with the keeper turn fruitful." And Pranee will turn around and say, "Oh, Joe, I didn't see you there. Yes, we were just watching a craftsman Bretel make this iron bark into a nice little dagger."
Brittle. I would just smile at him and smile at Cerebos, and I'll be like, yes, it actually went quite well. I think we have come to an agreement that hopefully Cerebos you will also agree to. And I think that we can all help each other out um, within the next few days here. Um, and I kind of get distracted looking at the ironwood. I'm like, may I also watch this craftsmanship, Mister Brettel?
The skinny ginger elf will look up at you and he'll say, "I suppose you can watch for a bit. I kind of don't mind the audience." And he'll keep going on his merry way. And unfortunately for you, Joe, you are kind of watching the tail end of the operation as a lot of the shape has kind of been made. It's gonna be just the shaving of the dagger that needs to happen. So what he'll do is take this ironbark dagger, and you'll see, while it's still unrefined and not necessarily, it has the pointy tip but does not necessarily have the pointy edge, you would still see the kind of rings in the dagger from the actual ironbark tree that it was taken from,
Oh,
giving it a cool kind of like circular ring design as it goes from, you know, the the pommel to the haft to the actual blade itself. Um, and he will take it to a set of grindstones, one of which you can very easily surmise as an an iron grindstone that's for regular armaments, but there will be a an additional grindstone adjacent to it that has a steel body to it, as you would come to expect with a grindstone, but the edges of this grindstone will have the faintest, like, dark gray uh, edging or rimming the of ironbark itself, and you would still see similar rings around the edge of the grindstone. Given the So you can assess that to sharpen iron bark, you need iron bark, but because iron bark is so rare, you can't necessarily make a full body grindstone out of iron bark, and therefore this is kind of their workaround towards it, as the iron bark is kind of molded to the steel with special Dalish magic. And
So cool.
you would watch Craftsman Brettel uh, hold the iron bark against the iron bark, and you would hear the standard grind, but you would see a lot less sparks go on as the grindstone whirls up. But and instead of that little typical sheen that you get from a typical grindstone, you would get like the sound of a saw kind of cutting through a deep log, and it would just have a cold flare on the end of it, and he's just gonna get cranking away for about 20 minutes or so. If you stay here, it would be about 20 minutes of just grinding out the edges of this dagger, um, all the way around on both sides, and around, I believe it would be about like a 9-inch blade in total. um, and once it's done, you will see that a lot of the rings are like stretched out um, as it's way more refined and shaped. And he will take it to the river where he will wash it off and rinse it, and Craftsman Brettel will take it to all three of you, and he'll say, well, do you guys like it? And he'll kind of do like a little butterfly knife trick where he'll kind of like spin it across his palm, and it'll kind of catch the light, the deep kind of gray that it occupies with its matted rings that go around the blade. And he'll let you
Oh,
guys look at it.
it's gorgeous. Oh my goodness. I've never seen real iron bark. Uh, Weaponry. I mean, well, maybe when I've gone to. No, no, no. There's just no way. It's gorgeous. I've only read about this. It's fantastic. Wow. I mean, back home, I would pay so much money for this. I can't now, but I would if I could. It is gorgeous. It is a gift to just watch it being made.
He'll he'll blush at your compliments, and he finds them acceptable. He'll be like, thank you, I appreciate it. This was a special commission for uh, Keeper Grimna herself, as she wanted a blade for her own. And yeah, so this is it's been a little passion project for a little while now. Took a lot because those damn wolves. It's kind of hard to just kind of poke out into the middle of the forest, but
Mm.
he's
Oh
coughing up a
yeah.
little bit of soot, and he's like, but hopefully it'll be safer to venture out into the woods and be able to do more expeditions deeper into the forest, and hopefully find more iron bark, and maybe able to craft some more like this. But that's neither here nor there. Um,
Um, Sorry, speaking of that, oh, I guess I didn't introduce myself. My name is Joe. Nice to meet you. Um, I and my friend Sarah Boss here have been asked to hopefully put an end to the wolf problem for you. And as you are saying about how it makes it difficult for you to go out into the woods and find ironbark, is there anything in particular you feel like you know about these wolves' attack that would maybe help us find these creatures?
He'll ponder for a second and he'll say, give me a second. Hang on. Brain fart.
You're good.
He'll think for a second and he'll say, the only interesting observation that I could make out of the whole situation is that while I understand going after the Halla alone if you're a pack of wolves, but what I don't understand is that, you know, we still have elves, Dalish elves like me, going out into the woods among some of the other scouts who aren't necessarily looking for ironbark, but just scouting and or reporting findings that they come across. But that we have gone out into the woods and there hasn't been an incident where, uh, we haven't been. It's only been the Hala that's been attacked and not any of the Dalish. Uh, our people have been
Hmm.
fine. And so it seems targeted, which seems kind of uncharacteristic for wolves who typically don't necessarily care who or what they get food from as long as they're fed.
Hmm. So maybe someone's deliberately trying to slow you all down. That is unusual. I mean, I assume, I guess I don't really know, but um that is odd. Mm-mm. Well, I am also going to ask the hunters for anything they think may be helpful. But that is also very helpful. Thank you.
No problem. And if you were to happen to find ironbark out there, would love to work with another sample. I mean, this is a fun passion project as well as a an honor to work with. So definitely prioritize the wolves in question, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of ironbark. So I will
Okay.
send you guys on your way to talk to the hunters. Pranee, thank you for letting me meet Sarah Boss, who seems lovely, and
I don't believe him the way he said that.
and he'll say, Joe, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks both of you for coming to watch, and yes, I wish you luck with your conversations with the hunters and as well as finding the wolves themselves.
Thank you. Well, I hope to see you again soon and hopefully to bring you some more iron bark if possible.
He'll do a little fingers crossed, double fingers crossed, stick him up, and he'll say, I'll hold my breath, and he'll get back to working on something that's well, he'll probably continue back to working on the ironbark dagger. He'll start now gathering some finely thinned out like hollow leather strips that are uh, on standby, and he would use them to wrap it around the pommel to start furnishing it to be an actual dagger that's nice to use and not just a big sharp metal object that's uncomfortable to use.
Right. Oh, he's so cool. Um, yeah. Well, in that case, I would turn to Cerebos and Perni, and I would say, well, I would see if Perni is looking like he's going to leave or if he's planning on just like escorting us around, I suppose.
Um, he'll just be with you guys, and he'll say, "If you guys want me to show you the where the hunters are at, I can certainly do so. But you certainly don't need me. I can go upon my merry way. You just need to ask for Kleza and Verin. Those are the two hunters that were um, on the most recent mission and doing a lot of the reporting of the Halla that we have found out missing or dead. Um, so, by all means, you are guests. I don't need to show you around the entire house. So, whatever you guys need, let me know."
Um, yes, I suppose I would like to talk to Cerebos alone for a moment here. We will find you if we have any more questions.
So this is Patrick asking, are you just gonna stay next to Craftsman Brettel while he is working, and then you'll just wait for Pernie
No.
to walk away, or are you saying Pernie stay by Craftsman Brettel while we walk away and talk amongst each other?
Oh, I imagined like we kind of said this kind of as we were walking away, and so now we're like a little bit away from Brettel, and he is like gonna walk back to the rest of the camp. It's kind of what I thought in my head.
Oh, then you guys can walk back to the camp, and then once you guys kind of get to the outskirts of the, like, not outskirts, but like towards the inner portion of the encampment, you can have that
Hmm.
conversation, and then Pernie will depart. Um,
Okay.
and then you guys have the names to work off of, Kleza
Yes.
and then Verin, to
Yes.
find. But you and Cerebos are technically free to speak.
Roam and speak. Yeah, I just wanna check in with Cerebos. I just wanna be Cerebos. Um I did make a sort of deal with the keeper, but I first want to ask if you are all right. I know that some of the elves here were not s- as very welcoming to you as they were to me.
She will look at you and she'll say, "No, and I wouldn't have expected that I would be the favored guest. So, um, we have a deal with them, and no one has drawn a sword yet, unless you really want to count Craftsman Brettel. But that was just for demonstration purposes, in my opinion. But this is a good situation ultimately compared to what we could have gotten. But
Yes,
this is
I
not my favorite location."
that is fair. Um, well, I would guess I will tell you what the terms of the deal with the keeper are then, and if you have any grievances with them, please share them. And I will tell her basically everything the keeper told me, and like what our plan is to get the wolves and or find the wolves, bring evidence, and hopefully then exchange for services and goods.
You will tell her everything regarding the transaction of it all. Will you bring up anything regarding to the other topics that were brought up with Keeper Grimna?
Um, I want to like allude to like we'll talk about that maybe more later, but like if it seems like if it seems like she thinks I'm not like saying everything, but I don't want to like talk about it here in the middle of camp, I don't think.
Okay, so how would you do that? How
I'd
would you
say
roleplay that?
I think I go there were some other elements of the conversation that I found interesting, but I don't think now is the proper time to address them. Perhaps once we get a little bit of ways from camp.
Sarah Boss will look at you inquisitively, and she will make her own
Sure.
empathy check
Okay, okay.
to see if she can kind of discern your vibe, we'll say. And that is going to be a perception check, and her perception is, I don't think, her strongest attribute. She can't really make out what you fully mean, but she won't press any further, and
Okay.
she'll currently let things be until you decide to bring it up. Um,
Okay.
and she'll say, I acknowledge and accept those terms. That seems like a fair deal. I mean, at the end of the day, it is just a couple of wolves, so we stand to pose a good chance. So let's
Yeah.
go talk to these hunters.
Yes.
She'll
And that is
usher
what we
you along.
do. Yes. We will seek to find the hunters. They were basically like right by the main canopy before. Um, do we find them pretty easily, or do we have to like do some checking around and find them?
Um, let's make a. Give me a historical lore check to see if you remember what they looked like as they were walking out of the canopy area, or if you'll have to ask around.
Mhm. Okay, not bad, not bad at all. 14.
14. Okay. With a 14, you would definitely know that. Mm-mm-mm. One of the hunters in question that you're looking for is a taller, lankier, and pacier elf with a uh, jet black hair and just the thinnest kind of like jet black kind of pencil mustache on his upper lip. And
Mm,
the other hunter is a modest height woman that has a kind of rustic brunette look and has very pronounced set of freckles on her upper cheekbone. And with those types of faces, it would not necessarily be hard to find them in the rest of this encampment. Uh, if you would like to make a pretty easy perception check,
yeah.
primarily seeing, um, I'll tell you where you can find them.
I got double fours. So that is 15.
With a 15 and double fours, I'll say that you just automatically use your stun points to make this a quicken search, as you just very hastily think of hunters where they would want to go to after a hunt depending on its level of success, and you go to the herbologist, and
Mm,
you will poke around and find an Aravel that has open shelving with an assortment of different herbs, berries, and plants that are all in basically these sets of like pickled jars, and they are going through, we'll say, some herbal transitions to have special medicinal properties, and these two hunters are taking a couple of small swigs off of these natural fruit juices to recuperate some of their energy and health. And they will be talking to the herbologist about what they had discovered most recently on their last hunt, but not necessarily going into any detail that
mm,
would give the herbologist any ideas. Um, the idea being like, while this is a known issue, they don't necessarily want the rest of the Dalish elves to fret too much about this, because the last thing that they want them to do is to go into the woods and be like, let me solve this issue for myself, and then we got a bunch of Dalish elves potentially dead or worse.
yeah.
So that's the scene. You and Cerebos are walking around. You quickly find these individuals. What do you do?
I will approach them. And I will say, um, are you Kel,
Kleza.
Fleza and Varen. The Varin.
Kleza is
Close.
Kleza, and Verin is
Okay, yes, that makes it better.
Verin.
Kleza and okay, yep. That makes it better.
Yep. Um, and they'll both look at you and they'll say, "Yes, we are the hunters, and you must be the new guests."
Yes. Hello. Very nice to meet you both. I understand you have been dealing with a a a issue recently, and I believe that we can help. Did I hear them seemingly like talking around the issue a little bit to the herbalist?
Yeah, make an auditory check, and we'll just see if you could like really hear out any of the details that they were speaking to the herbalist about.
I'm assuming not. With a 5. No, wait, no, not 5. No, oh yeah, a 5.
Yeah, so with a 5, you know that a conversation was had. You don't know. It could have been water cooler talk for all you know. You're like, oh man, nature today. It's nature
Yeah.
and hard, and that's what you thought they were talking about.
I mean, that's what Dale Shells talk about, right? Nature.
That's it's definitely what's in the Orlesian textbooks.
Yeah, it basically says that Dalish elves they do nature,
Yeah,
and that's what I know about them. Yeah, I would be like, I think still kind of like tactful, hopefully, but like maybe a little less tactful than that about like what's happening.
yeah. So they will take their small little baby sips, and then they will look at each other, and they'll kind of like shrug, as in like, hey, if their guests willing to help, then that's no sweat out farbacks. Um,
Yeah.
they will walk you to an area outside of the immediate vicinity of the herbologist. In fact, they'll probably walk you to the outskirts of the camp, um, kind of towards the valley on the north side of the encampment, and they will look off towards the distance down into the deep kind of forest and brush, and they'll say, so with regards to our missing slash deceased Halla, it
Yes.
seems to be the case that we've lost 7 Halla in total,
Oh my.
and in terms of the predictability, we can't necessarily do it. We can't necessarily get a mapping. Sometimes the wolves get uh, sneaky and get one of our Halla at night, and in certain scenarios they just get brave and catch us while we're busy during the day. I can't give you an exact mapping of how frequent these disappearances go because we've been hit with back-to-back days in one particular instance, and then there's been entire weeks in between missing occurrences. So they do this
Whoa.
kind of with an unpredictable pattern to them, um, and we're unsure as to how these wolves are behaving, because what is clear, when we do find the carcass of a uh, Halla, it either ranges from uh, partially dismembered with um, bite marks give off that give off the idea that the wolves didn't necessarily know how to complete the kill.
Hmm.
Um, a almost a level of sloppiness that we wouldn't necessarily ascribe to a wolf. And in other instances, there were Halla carcasses that were picked almost entirely clean, almost the inverse, where perfect precision had to have been made to clean the carcass. And so, while we know and we've seen the wolves in question, we've not been able to properly trail them into the woods and successfully find out where they hide out. Um, we do know that they exist in that valley, but as to where, we can't say for certain.
Ah, interesting. You said you've seen the wolves yourselves.
Yes, yes, we have.
Any distinguishing features on them? How big are they? What's their fur color?
Varen will chirp up now and she'll say, "Yeah, so with the wolves are very, very large. Very large. The biggest of wolves." Sorry, I'm sorry. I got derailed way too fast. I felt it coming and I couldn't stop it. Okay. Varen would speak up. She has a very uh, tinny voice that kind of matches with kind of her smaller stature, and she'll say, "Yeah, these wolves are pretty larger than normal wolves, but that's nothing new. That's not uncharacteristic for that themselves. But um, what we have seen is that when they move with like almost as if they slurp from a river of ale. Like these wolves are almost drunk, and that's I don't know, Cles. Is there like a better way you could describe that? I don't know even know how to describe it. They don't The action seems premeditated, but the execution itself seems very haphazard, kind of in the moment. And Kleza would speak up and he'll say, "Yeah, so going back to the carcasses that were not picked with precision, that's kind of exactly what Varen is referring to, where they seem to teeter in between, you know, uh, true predators that can kill Halla at a short notice, and then uh, kind of uh, doting uh, killers that don't fully know what they're doing, or if they do know what they're doing, they don't know how to do it well. And
Mm.
but otherwise, visually, you cannot necessarily distinguish the wolves from another set of wolves. Um, I mean, depending on region and elevation and local fauna in the area and the diets of the wolves, I guess you could make out different features as well as different breeds that would have different sort of colored hued pelts. And then, yeah, depending on the diets, I suppose that teeth shape would play a factor in it as well. And aggression would also be tied to what their diet entails and all that. And he would start rambling on and on about everything he knows about wolves and how they technically could be different from other wolves, but for the purposes of the conversation, it doesn't fucking matter at all. Um,
I don't cut him off. I let him do it, but I zone out for sure.
yeah, he would go on for another 3 minutes, and you would you would zone out, and you would feel just naturally from the rod. Um, Sarah Boss is taking this all in. She is engaged, and she wants to know. Um, Sarah
I
Boss,
love her.
yeah, while she knows a lot about this area, she has a keen appetite to learn more because she never wants to be put kind of you get the feeling that she like doesn't like to be on the back foot where she is the least
Yeah.
knowledgeable one in the area. So you'll get that, and after the tangent ends, Kleza will say, "So yeah, not really that much of a difference."
I don't. Joe doesn't laugh. Per laugh. Um. Uh. Joe looks very politely at them. He's like, "That was. I learned a lot. I think that will be helpful. Another question for you all. Do you feel so? You said there were seven Hala for sure that were missing. Did you find all of their carcasses, or were there any that you didn't find?
Varen will chirp up and she'll say, "Yeah, that's a good point. So we have found a lot of the bodies, but there are a couple that I think would make it to the actual hideout itself, and we won't actually find anymore. So we're dealing with about like two.
that we haven't found yet. But we know that we're down 7 from our normal 39 total. So now we're down to
Mm-hmm.
32. Um, and keep in mind, we use the Halla for all sorts of things. Pulling the Arvils, sustainable food. We repurpose these creatures for any and everything. So even losing, going from 39 to 32 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you need them for everything, it is a lot. It is a lot.
Mm-hmm. I understand that now more than ever. My other question is, uh, the keeper told me that there were hunters, other hunters or trackers that she sent after the Hala, and some of them did not make it back. Could you tell me a little bit about these hunters so if I find them, I could identify them, or maybe if there's anything they had in common besides being hunters?
Yeah, so the hunters that we've found have been in the valley, just in the middle of the forest, lying there, and their bodies completely intact besides the bite marks from the wolves.
Mm,
And the same thing that uh, Kleza was describing earlier was true here, where these bite marks were very sloppy, and the wolves didn't necessarily know what they looked like. This was their first time killing, and
mm,
it was it's weird because they are full grown from what we've seen, but the kills themselves are very juvenile.
understandable. Um, Sarah Boss, is there any questions you can think of off the top of your head that would help us?
Cerebos would be in deep ponderance and would. I just realized I paused my music. Hang on. Okay. Cerebos would be in deep ponderance and would say, "So Kleza and Varen, so when you find these bodies in the woods, do you bring them back or do you leave them out there for the wolves to potentially get?" And Varen would chirp in and he would say, with regards to the dead hunters, depending on how far deep we are in the forest, we either leave the bodies out there or we bring the bodies back in. And that's just due to our concern for safety for ourselves because going sometimes miles out into the forest to pick up one missing hunter or something could pose a huge risk to the individual or individuals in this case um, themselves with the concerns of the wolves. And so it really is a matter of circumstance whether we bring those hunters back in or not. But we have brought back a couple, yes. And Serapaz will nod and say thank you. Um, and she'll look at you and she'll say, uh, "I don't think I have any further questions, but I think if if we're given an idea to where we could find one of these hunters deeper into the forest, that would be a good starting point to find the
Yeah,
hideout itself for these wolves."
that is a good point. One more question before that one. I asked the keeper this as well, but I figured I'd ask you too. If you maybe it's something you've thought and you didn't feel like you should tell the keeper because you didn't have evidence, or you wanted to confirm it before you knew, or maybe you just don't. Maybe you have a hunch. Is there any group of person or creature that you think could be controlling these wolves or making this happen? Could they be, Antivan crows? Could it be a Canary clan? Could it be another human group? Could it be another Dalish group? Do you have any ideas there, or do you think these are animals?
Kleza will look at you and he'll say, I don't know if this helps, but I think both of those things are true. There's nothing that tells me that these are not animals, visually speaking. I've seen them for myself, like I said, um, and I was unable to track them. But uh, with just how their behavior is, I would be hard pressed to believe that these wolves are completely and holistically acting on their own. Their their kills are poor. The consumption of humans is not there, and they're not even operating in a pack per se. So um, there's nothing that tells me that they are strictly just wolves that I can say with full confidence. But I don't necessarily have meaningful evidence towards anything else that could potentially be going on. I mean, if we found the hideout, I'm sure we would have gotten a lot more information, but I really can't uh, tell you how this is coming to be.
That is perfectly fine. I just thought I would ask.
Is there anything else you need? But otherwise, Kleza and or Varen and myself may uh, dismiss ourselves to tend to other camp duties.
Um,
Otherwise, we can set out to go on the mission with you guys, but I don't want to intervene if this is a mission that you guys solely want to take on yourselves. That's totally fine.
well, it's more up to you. I think it might be beneficial if it's just us, because, well, then we could, um, they might be more surprised about us showing up than Dalish elves who they've been attacking. But I think that Cerebos was right. It would be nice to know exactly where the location of some of these bodies have been left so that we could use that as a starting point.
Then Varen will uh, reach into her little satchel bag that's right next to the base of her longbow and unfurl the the faint beige uh, color of what you would assume to be uh, hollow leather, and
Mm.
she would reach inside and she'll pull out a piece of paper or papyrus and begin some scrawlings with um, some, we'll say, a little stick of slate. Uh, no, you can't write with slate. What is the graphite, a little stick of graphite, and she
Oh,
would draw a crude outline of the valley, and would make an X of "we are here," and would
mm,
give directions about vaguely where the furthest out body is into the forest, and
mm.
it's pointing towards near a kind of just a massive rock on at some point in the forest, you'll see a massive rock in a clearing. Um, and she'll draw that on the map, and she'll give like a rough kind of reference point of like this amount of distance on this paper represents this many meters. Um,
Yeah.
and would hand that to you.
Oh, the
And
one other question I want to make sure I got from them or the keeper was, when did the first one of these attacks happen?
Kleza would look up, and after watching Baron finish the map, he'll say, so the first uh, attack from these wolves happened 3 months ago. Um,
Oh,
and it's been the seven missing occurrences since then. Um, and while it was a weird one off in the beginning and a weird two off in the beginning, it's now something that is a lot higher priority considering the value that the Halla are to us.
mm,
So yeah, 3 months.
um, Thank you. I know this is a sensitive topic and matter, so we will try and our best to help you in whatever way we can.
And we certainly appreciate it. And I am not opposed to the idea of you two just going into the forest on your own. Just, I encourage you to be safe. Um,
Hmm.
and huge celebration is in order if you find out who did this, or what did this. Uh, but with that, Varin, we can go and maybe we can chat up that herbologist a little bit. And Varin will be like,
Yeah, I'd like that.
um, and they'll dismiss themselves and kind of just walk back towards the encampment as you and Cerebos are kind of on the upper outskirts of this valley.
Okay. Um, I would ask Cerebos. So, Cerebos, would you like to go to where these bodies were right away, or should we? What time of day is it? I guess actually.
Yeah, so from when you guys kind of woke up and got onto the river, you guys hit the fork in the river probably early morning. And with
Okay.
all of these conversations that you've had, I would say that it's now kind of like early to mid afternoon.
Okay.
Um, from talking to the keeper, talking to Craftsman Brettel, and now talking to Kleza and Varin. Yeah, we're definitely at midday, not necessarily evening.
And then I would ask Sarah Boss if she thought that we should try and reach this clearing where these bodies were today, or if we should try and set out tomorrow.
Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, considering the attacks happened at both the daytime and the nighttime, I don't think it would make too much of a difference to when we go out into the forest. But whatever you're comfortable with, I'm game. Uh, and if you want, maybe we can get pretty creative with our plan. And she'll pull you in and she'll say, if we want to really reliably draw out the wolves and catch them, maybe it's in our best interest to take one of the Halla with us and use them as bait to draw out the wolves. Um, if the wolves are dumb enough to take the bait, I think that would work in our favor.
Hmm.
We just
I
have
think
to
that's it.
ensure that the Halla itself doesn't die, because we cannot report back on 8 missing Halla while we did the mission.
Yes. Um, I think that that is a very good idea. I think it would be ill-advised to just take the hollow without asking. Um, but I think it's worth an ask. Uh, yes.
Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, "Hmm, I accept this. Who
Okay.
should we inquire?"
Well, whoever the keeper of the Halla is, I suppose. Uh, the main Halla tender. Oh, what do I know what that's called? If
Um,
there's a name.
I don't know if there's an actual name for keepers of the Halla, but I can double check here. Yes, so you could call them either Halla keepers or Halla tenders.
Okay. Yes, that's who I would say that we should ask.
Um, yeah, you may absolutely do so. So you can go to an in part of the encampment area where Hala kind of come and go to the edge of this encampment area where there would be like troughs of water and then troughs of kind of food, specialized food, because Halla just naturally kind of graze off of the land, but there would be like a special kind of mixture for them at this edge of the encampment. As you approach closer to all of the Halla, you notice that a lot of these Halla have, like I said, the nice antlers that are akin to antelopes on top of their head, and you kind of are, as you get closer, more astonished of their beauty, as their pelt is like a brisk white color, and the antlers themselves are perfectly and ornately carved to formulate kind of this floating braid, as multiple antlers jut out in a straight direction but interweave amongst each other in like a kind of symphony of horns. You'll see the Halla keeper watching over them. It'll be a modest height gentleman that's just guiding the Halla around, and having a couple of young Dalish children ride a couple of them if the Halla were to allow. He'll lift up little Timmy and put him on the back, and he'll be like, here, little Timmy, ride this little Halla around and hold on to the antlers." And little Timmy will hold on for dear life as he's gonna go for a blast. And yeah, you approach the area, and you see this scene unfold as the Hall keeper will look at you guys and he'll say, "Ah, yes, the guests that everyone's been talking about."
Yeah, yep, we're quite the celebrities, it seems. Nice to meet you, Mr. Halla Keeper. I am Joe, and I will give him my curtsy.
And he will accept your curtsy and do a slight bow as he says, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Joe. And who may your companion be?"
I will gesture for Sarah Boss to introduce herself if she wants to.
Sarah Boss will look at you. Then she'll look at the Halla keeper and say, "Hello, my name is Sarah Boss, and I'm Joe's companion here. I believe it's only fair that I ask who you are." And he will nod towards the formality, and he'll say, "Yes, my name is Keeper Yzla, but you can just call me Yzla, and people don't really call me Keeper because that confuses with the other name, but I am Keeper of the Halla here specifically." And yeah, I watch over the Halla and make sure that all of their needs are taken care of, and occasionally give the Dalish kids a little ride on it, if they so allow it, but that's rare. And yeah, otherwise, what can I help you guys? Don't suppose that you need much from me. We don't really sell Halla, so
Well, I suppose even if you did, now wouldn't be a good time for that, which is why we are hopefully here to help with that. I don't know if you've been told or not yet, but we are hopefully going to find out one whatever issue is befalling some of your hollow, um, in exchange for a map from the keeper.
Izo will look at you and he'll say, "That seems like a good trade to me. I mean, the job, unfortunately, has been getting a little bit easier with less Halla around," but in a hushed tone, such that the kids, or little Timmy, doesn't have to hear. He'll say, "Unfortunately, if this wolf problem isn't taken care of in the immediate future, I think I'm concerned for our long term future with the limited Halla that we may be able to have or even be able to procure in the future. So if this can be resolved promptly, I'll do what I can to help within my limits.
Yes, and that is why we sought you out. We have a a plan to find this wolf, and I will also say very quietly, matching his tone, and like discretion. Um, I'll say, but it is not ideal, maybe, and that's why we would like to ask your permission. Um, we think it would be wise to try and lure out one of the wolves, but unfortunately, to do that, we need to have a Halla as the bait. Um, what do you think of that proposal?
As the words are coming out of your mouth, can you make an empathy check?
Yeah, I can. Was it okay? Oh no. Okay. Okay. Wait. Okay. So that's yeah. I rolled a 6. And 2 ones.
With
So,
doubles.
so that is 11. 11.
11. Yeah. That's that's really bad considering how empathy checks are supposed to be going for you, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Um and what you'll kind of notice is that as you say your plan out loud,
Yeah.
Yisla's face kind of just tightens a bit, and it's a it's a tough proposal. It's a tough proposal for him. He's not necessarily,
Hunky dory about that.
yeah, he's not stoked about it. He'll think about it, and he'll say to both of you, and he'll say, "One moment," and he'll dismiss himself, where he will go get Timmy, take him off the Halla, and say, "Get your ass back to your mom," or something like that. And little Timmy will start crying and running. No, little Timmy will leave the scene, and he will talk to the Halla that Timmy was riding on in a very... Give me a cultural lore check.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, my rolls are so bad right now. Okay, that's a 10. I always roll bad on the things I really want.
Yeah. So, what I will say is you can understand that what he is talking, when he's talking to the Halla, it's not in trade tongue, of course. That's the most easiest part that you can discern. What you don't necessarily understand is that from your time in Orlais, and you've talked to a variety of people, you were pretty friendly with any and everyone that wasn't, playing a part of the game that wasn't in your favor. You would recognize just small inflections and small, I'll say, syllables to be elven-like, but not necessarily elvish.
Okay.
And that's all you can make out. And he'll, in a soft-spoken tone, speak to the Halla, and the Halla will kind of whimper and, shake its head and make gestures without speaking, but nonetheless kind of communicating to the Dalish individual himself. And he will, after some time, look at you after his discussion with the Halla, and he'll say, while I myself am not a fan of that plan, I cannot deny the severity of the issue that we are looking at. And the Halla themselves know this, and they are aware. And so I spoke to my dear Holland companion here, and he seems to be game for your guys' plan.
Oh,
Understanding the importance
really?
and necessity of this mission.
Mm.
What I will say, because ultimately, as the Halla keeper and tender, I can only take care of. That does not necessarily mean I am monitoring them 24/7 and keeping watch over them is just not feasible. What I will say is, I will allow you guys to use my companion here as bait, with that knowledge that if that bait is taking off the hook and now we're down by 8, I would very, very, very strongly encourage that you do not come back.
Mm.
Because the rest of the elves probably would not support this plan. And if they found out that this unsupported plan that they were not aware of has turned into, we're down an additional one, conveniently after a foreigner and a foreigner came to our encampment, there would be problems.
Yes, I understand completely and fully. This is a risk, and I do think it is worth taking, but I completely understand and agree to what you have said.
Then in that case, you will guide this Halla out of the encampment area when most of us elves are down to rest, potentially either in the evening or early in the morning before sunrise. And you can, I'll say, try to make it, don't rush, but don't take your time either, because I will have to start answering questions relatively soonly about where missing Halla may be.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you so much, and I don't know how to speak to the Hala as you do, but please tell the Hala, your companion, that it is being very brave.
He'll whisper to you and he'll say, "Oh, trust me, he already knows." He gets a little cocky with his bravado, but sometimes it gets him into some shit, and I have to bail him out. But that's just kind of how this
Well,
gig goes.
I see, I see. Well, then don't tell him that. Don't say that then, because we need him to be slightly humble for this operation.
Also, he understands you, but
Oh,
you won't be able to understand him.
oh, oh, okay. Well, that's still really cool. So I'll take that as a win, personally. But thank you so much for
His name is
explaining.
Ricky.
Ricky. Okay, very good. I would also name my hollow Ricky. Um, Ricky, it is very nice to work with you.
The Hall's head perches up promptly with perfect posture, as if this was the gig. that he's been preparing for his whole life. It speaks to you on a level that you hate that you recognize, which is this like Orlesian kind of etiquette, prim and proper, like I am the shit with how I present myself. It's ostentatious even for a Halla, you know. You've just met this creature and you're like, man, you're kind of doing the most right now. But he looks at you and he exhausts a quick, just prompt, and you get the idea that he's on board.
Awesome. I say, oh, Ricky, how you would fit in at home.
Say that again. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I just say, like, kind of to nobody, but also, like, to Ricky, just, oh, Ricky, how you would fit in at home.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's poetic. It's poetic.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And then I suppose we leave to, set out and wait for most of the elves to go into their. I mean, do elves trans in Dragon Age? I don't remember if they actually sleep or not.
No, they sleep. They sleep.
Okay, they actually sleep.
Yep.
So for the elves to actually sleep.
Yep. You can do this. You can do this. You can procure a little bedroll, your bedrolls, if you want to go back to your little canoe and take your bedrolls out and either sleep in or adjacent to your canoe, or maybe pull your canoe closer to the encampment. Up to you. How you want to do this.
I guess I want to sleep a little closer to the encampment. I don't know if we necessarily need to get the canoe, but I guess if we feel like it's in an exposed spot or could get washed away, we'd want to do that. So let's just say, yeah, we pull it in a little bit, but I would like to sleep a little closer to the camp just so that we could get to the Halla quicker and leave quicker and all that stuff come Halla collecting time. What was I gonna say? Yeah, and I'd like for us to go to bed as soon as possible, probably after moving the canoe, so that we can get the Halla kind of in the early morning or like middle of the night.
Okay, so you're gonna settle for a partial rest if you do it in the middle of the night.
How early in the morning would it be to get a full rest?
Yeah, so if you go to bed at 8 p.m., you could easily get a full rest and be up by sunrise. Just know that if you go up at that time as opposed to the middle of the night, you are potentially putting the Halla Keeper more at risk for questioning.
What happens if I get a partial rest? What is the mechanics of that?
I don't know if they would make any functional difference here because you didn't take any damage or do anything during this day. You just talked to Dalish. So, I can double check real quick here. And so, you go to lay to rest.
Yes.
You are on the fringes, we'll say on the further upshore, or I should say downshore, closer to the encampment, and you are kind of within, we'll say, sightline of the Halla. You're not necessarily bedrolls next to the Halla because that's kind of a little suspect. And as far as I understand it, you are going to take a partial rest and try to exist partially strained for this little part of your adventure.
Yes.
Which is completely fine. And
is it?
How bad could it go? And yeah, you'll wake up to the bright and illuminating glow that is the moon hanging over you guys, and the stars at night. They're gonna be
so big and bright.
Yeah, exactly. You are going to see the Halla off into the distance. Their bright pelts just illuminating off of the moonlight. One Halla is not like the others, and that's Ricky. And he is built to go.
That's our fucking guy.
You guys will get up, and I want you to keep in mind that Sarah Boss will also be partially strained for this part of the adventure because she is getting the same amount of rest as you.
I do want
And
her consent for her to be strained. Did she agree to these terms?
yes,
Okay.
she would never disobey your terms.
Well, I
So-
give her the option to.
Sure, whatever helps you sleep for your partial rest. And yeah. You guys get up. You guys get your stuff ready to go. You have the rod on your back, rations, and all of your cute little equipment ready to go. And
Sorry.
you will see the hall is up ahead. As Sarah Boss will look at you and she'll say, "Are you ready, Joe?"
Yes, I believe so. Let's
Sarah Boss
Is it the
yawns
hall?
in the middle
Sarah
of.
Boss.
Yeah, she's yawning while you say that.
Sarah Boss, are you sure that this is okay?
Yeah. Yep. I'm ready.
Are you sure?
Well, who would you rather put at risk, us or Yzla?
Uh,
All right, let's go.
okay. There we go.
And so you guys venture towards the Halla. It's a straight shot. It seems like a clear path, but it's dark and it's spooky. Can you give me
I'm just early.
Can you give me a dexterity check to see if you make any noise while getting closer to the Halla that may disturb the encampment?
No!
This is a roll that you should probably try to get right.
Okay, I rolled well. Did Sarah Boss roll well?
Tell me what you rolled.
I got a what was 17. So -2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So Sarah Boss rolled a 9. -2 is a 7.
Oh.
And I'll say with a 15 and a 7, you, Joe, are perfectly quiet as you make your way towards the Halla encampment. Sarah
I'm
Boss,
perfect.
with her kind of armor situation with her, the chains and everything like that, is struggling to not make a small jingle as she moves. If a elf were to be awoken by that noise, they are not making themselves known.
Okay. Great.
And so you have that giving you somewhat peace of mind. As you guys get closer to the Halla encampment, you'll see some of them resting, some of them just doing the lightest grazing, some of them are down kind of by the river, taking sips from the stream, paying you no mind.
Down by the river. Sorry.
That's cope. And like I said, one Halla is just not like the rest, and it's Ricky, and he's ready. He is standing perfectly still in the moonlight, letting the moon's glow cascade through his antler braids as his eyes are sharp and alert, staring at you.
Oh, he's perfect.
And he's ready for a mission. He's ready to be deemed a hero amongst Halla in this area.
He is.
He looks at you guys as you guys approach, and he bobs his head down and gives a little wave, and you're not the Halla. And he awaits your guys' orders.
I I give him a little head tap, um, and I say, Ricky, are you ready? Very quietly.
Okay. And he will release just a quick short.
Beautiful. I expected nothing less from a perfect Halla as yourself. And I'm gonna like kind of motion for Ricky to follow me, hopefully.
You'll begin your walk towards the valley, and Sarabas will be in tow, and the Halla, Ricky, will be behind Sarabas, trotting away, hooves confident as ever, just getting his shit off. He's going. You guys get to the edge of the valley, and you see a forest that just goes kind of as far as the eye can see through a small, not small, um, a not so quite mountain range, but nonetheless very hilly valley that goes for quite a bit of ways. Quite a bit of ways from eye shot. Um, it looks like it could be like you could walk 20, 30 miles just straight through this valley, and still have plenty of forest left to go.
Oh. I look at them, and I look at specifically. I look at our boy Ricky, and I say, Ricky, I think this is going to be the spot. Um, Wait, is this the spot? Is this the spot?
What do you mean the spot?
Like where the bodies were.
No, you're not next to a rock.
Oh shit. Okay.
You have to go into the forest.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, we go.
You guys start descending into the valley, and
Yeah.
you begin your midnight adventure.
Yes.
Can you tell me how you're going to approach this forest adventure? You're trying to do it stealthily. You're trying to make a. Do you want your companion Ricky to take point? Do you want? What do you want? What are you
Yeah,
thinking?
we want to have Ricky as bait. So we want to have Ricky in front, and we want to have Cerebas and I either flanking Ricky or behind Ricky, but in such a way that we're trying to be stealthy, um, but
How,
we are still like close to Ricky, but not hopefully too close to Ricky.
how
Um,
far behind Ricky do you plan on being?
how many feet can I move it around?
What's your movement speed?
Where is my movement?
Should be the top of the character sheet. If you wrote it down.
I know I did because I remember seeing it. But
It's speed, defense, armor, and then
Oh,
penalty.
speed defense. Okay, yeah. Okay, 13 is my speed.
If your speed is 13, then you can move 13 yards, which is 39 feet in a given round.
Okay.
Unless
wanna
you
be-
choose the run action, which doubles it.
I want to be 20. How far? Wait, I'm gonna see how far I can throw my spear. I want to be
The very best.
like, no, what? I want to be 15 feet behind Ricky so I can throw my spear.
Okay, so for the purposes of this tabletop RPG, let's communicate in yards. So if you want to be 20
Oh, I'm
feet
sorry.
behind,
Yards. I meant yards.
you want to be 20 yards?
Yeah. No, 15 yards.
Okay, you want to be 15 yards, which is
Yes.
45 feet, which was different than the 20 feet that you said earlier.
Well, what? Oh, yeah, I want to be 15 yards because I can throw my spear 16 yards.
Okay. You can absolutely do that. Then Cerebos will be walking adjacent to you, and you can tell Ricky that he can take point.
Yeah, I let him know. I say, hey man, we're following you. Do what you think is best.
Oh. Okay.
Lead us.
Do you say do what you think is best?
No. I'm gonna say, Ricky, a lot of people are relying on you, and a lot of Halla also. You might come back the greatest legend that this forest uh and band of elves and human and Kunari have ever known. Um, that all depends on you and how serious you take this mission and how willing you are to put yourself in the line of fire for others. I need you to be willing to stand up there alone. We'll be here, but not next to you. We'll be at a distance, waiting. Um, I need you to walk forward, but never too fast, never too slow, so that we can follow where you go and shine like the Hala you were meant to be, and lure those wolves here, and then we'll come in and fight them off. And you'll be the hero that you always were destined to be.
Give me an animal handling check.
I don't know what that is.
It's communication.
Okay. I'm not good at communicating like this. I did not roll very well. No, 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 no. With the -2, it's a 5.
Oh man. If you go to the test difficulty table, you know that a routine test, so something that you regularly do, is a 7 on the DC table. So a 5 is
Not very
tough.
good.
Ricky eats up these words as you feed them to him. He
Okay.
is a hero, and that is what he is aiming for. You get a sense that on some level he ultimately does care about his brethren, but equally as much, maybe even slightly more so, he cares about being known as Ricky, the savior of Halla, and what that could do for his career, his opportunities,
Yeah, his
networking,
brand.
his brand. There's equity
Yeah,
in the name Ricky,
there
and
is.
he wants to cash in. And the way he's going to do
Oh,
that
Ricky.
is to not necessarily heed your word exactly 1-to-1, because he
Okay.
knows that Joe is not a hero. So if Joe's
Oh.
not a hero, what does she know about being a hero? I'm Ricky.
Oh no.
I know what it
Oh
means to be a hero.
no, Ricky.
Ricky
No,
starts to run deeper into the forest.
no. I run
Okay,
directly.
what's your movement speed?
13.
Okay, Cerebos has a movement speed of 8.
Oh, what does Ricky have?
Ricky is a Halla. So
I
he is built for this.
don't know.
His base movement speed is a 15.
No, no, no.
You need to make a decision now. Do you keep up with Ricky? Try to keep up with Ricky, I should say. Or do you stick with Cerebos?
Choose that. Fuck. No.
You were not
Oh,
supposed to roll a 5.
oh. Okay, so I'm gonna say shit. Shit. Start running. I'm gonna yell for Sarah Boss to.
Cerebos will look at you and she'll say, Go. We cannot afford to lose the Halla.
You're right. And I will sprint after Ricky.
Okay. You will sprint after Ricky.
Oh, and I'll
And
tell Cerebos to do what she needs to do.
yeah.
You have my permission, yeah.
Okay. Um, I'll say this. Are you trying to call for Ricky as you chase after him? How stealthy are you going to be in this forest? Are you just going to be a crazy lone woman in the forest screaming, Ricky, wait up!
I'm not gonna be screaming for Ricky until, like, he's getting too far away from me. I'm gonna try and chase him, not necessarily, like, completely quietly, but, like, I'm gonna try and be, like, dexterously avoiding really loud things, hopefully.
Give me an acrobatics check
Oh.
to see how quiet your pursuit is.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So 12 minus 2 is 10.
With a 10, you're not stepping on the most obvious of branches and in the most deepest parts of dry leaves. You're doing a pretty good job of steering clear of that. I will say, because you are running, your footsteps are naturally just going to be making some considerable
noise.
thuds, as well as Ricky as a running Halla. He will be
Motherfucker.
he'll be
I
gunning it through the forest.
I don't like Ricky anymore. I'll say it. I don't like him anymore.
He heard that.
No, he didn't. He
And
was
he's running.
not there.
He's running faster. And
No.
no.
You.
And so you will be gunning it.
Yeah.
You'll take a glance behind you and you notice that you lost Cerebos behind you
Yeah.
as you quickly gain too much on her. Unfortunately, even though she is a mage wearing significant armor that impedes her ability to keep up at a significant portion. But she is doing her best. You make an empathy check for me.
Empathy? Okay. I did tell her, like, to, like, do what she can, you know? Do what she has to do. Permission, all this stuff. God, fuck! Oh, my God! Okay. 12 minus 2 is 10.
Yeah, so with a 10, you get the feeling that from the rod, Cerebos is hyperfixated.
On what?
Wouldn't you like to know? And
Yeah.
you are running through the woods and gunning it after Ricky, as Ricky is bobbing and weaving through trees, jumping over rocks. He
Fucking
is singing show tunes in his head as
No.
he is unfortunately horribly crippled with main character syndrome, and
No,
he knows he is the one. He is him. Every once in a while, he's catching behind to make sure that you're still following him and keeping up. He does notice that Cerebos is not behind, but it's not really much of something that weighs heavy on his heart, as he knows that the mission is greater. But you are losing him still nonetheless. And it'll be about a couple of, I'll say, 2 minutes of... Give me a second. I have a dog that just visited me.
Oh, you're good.
Hey, Rona. Just like Ricky, who is
No,
bussing it through this forest. You are losing him.
No.
I'll say this. Do you have any ways that you would like to try to either stop him from moving, or a way to try to propel yourself forward in any neat or creative ways?
I don't want to throw anything at Ricky because I don't want to kill him.
Yeah, that would not be the objective.
Let me think. Looking at my everything that I have. No, my my armor doesn't give me a. I chose this armor so that I didn't get a walking penalty. Um, can I shout to Ricky that if we can't see him, no one will know his there'll be no one to tell his story.
You can do whatever you want.
Fuck you. Yeah, I'm gonna shout to Ricky. I'm gonna say Ricky.
How does it
Ricky.
sound? Yeah, yeah. Get into it.
I say, Ricky. If you get much further ahead, we won't be able to tell the tale of your brilliance. The bards will never sing your songs. There'll be no feed for you to celebrate what you've done. You need someone to see your deeds of greatness. Slow down, Ricky. I can't keep up with your majestic speed. And that's what I would like to say.
Give me an animal handling check at advantage.
How do I do advantage?
Roll 3d6 twice.
Okay.
And if you roll 2 5s, this will get worse.
2 5s?
If you roll 2 natural 5 totals.
Oh. Okay. Fucking Christ. Okay, so my better one is, in fact, a 7 for a 5.
You're joking, right?
I'm literally not kidding. I rolled, on my first roll, I rolled a 4, a 1, and a 1. And on my second roll, I rolled a 4, a 2, and a 1.
You gotta get better dice. New dice. These are my dice that I got you. Yeah.
You got this.
Yeah, you're not training him well enough, I think.
So wasn't at the beginning. I wasted all the good rolls.
Ricky hears your speech, and in the eerie silence of the forest, you just see it. He falters.
Okay.
He ponders what you said for but a moment, and he allows you to gain just a little bit. I'll say 1 round's worth, so 15 seconds.
Okay.
Before he decides, no, she's just trying to feed the ego. What does she know? And he books it again. He books it again. You did gain on him, but he is still gunning it through the forest. Now you are further and further losing Sarabas to the point to where you don't feel almost any emotion kind of coming from the rod itself due to the distance between you two. And I'll ask again, do you still keep chasing after Ricky, or do you try to reunite with Sarabas?
Fuck me. Fuck! I wonder if Ricky will stop if I stop chasing him. But what if he fucking dies? But what if Sarabas fucking dies? What if she found the wolves? But I think she could fend it herself against the wolves. I have to trust her, right? Like, she said go after him. So I have to do that.
Insists that she has autonomy. I don't know if I can trust you.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have to trust her that she can handle herself. I don't think she's gonna do anything bad.
Okay.
I'm worried about her, but I
Okay.
have to trust that she can do it. I'm gonna say, how strong does Ricky look?
Ricky looks like a adult male deer. Not necessarily a wuss by any means, but if you drank about a half a case of PBRs and a little bit of Red Bull, you could probably wrestle him down.
No, I'm saying, like, if I threw something at him and it hit him. Would
Oh.
I fucking...
Would you kill him? He looks like he definitely could take a hit. He definitely could take a hit. Could he take a hit and a wolf attack? I don't know about that.
He couldn't. No, he couldn't. Uh, I can't afford to lose that roll again. I have to just keep chasing him for a little bit longer. Because now I've caught up enough to, like, be within his sight for a longer time again.
Yep.
I have to keep running after him. Is there anything up ahead that it looks like I could, like, throw my spear at to maybe, like, stop him? Like, is there, like, a tree?
Oh, absolutely. There's trees galore.
Yeah, but, like, is there, like, one that maybe looks like if I, like, hit it right, like, something would fall and maybe stop his tracks?
You're so focused on looking at Ricky and keeping up with him that you're not necessarily observing what's in the trees per se. So you could definitely take the chance that you throw it hard enough that you shake a tree and maybe a branch comes out or a couple of leaves fall out. But it's not like, oh, that's an apple tree. Let me, throw this spear at the apple tree and hope a apple bonks on fucking Sir Isaac Newton here.
Oh, shit. If I dropped anything, would I get faster?
The only thing that makes you faster is higher dex and maybe removing armor if your armor imposes penalties. But I don't know if your armor imposes penalties on your movement.
It doesn't. That's why I chose this one.
Yep. So unless you can magically get a better dex, you just naturally cannot keep on pace with the Halla. That's just how.
Maybe I'll actually just beg to Ricky this time. I'm going to beg. I'm gonna say, Ricky, please, I can't keep up with you. I actually can't. And we've lost Cerebus too. Ricky, we have to work together to make this work. Please stop running away. Please.
Ricky will make an animal handling check with advantage once again.
Oh. Okay. That's numbers. That is also numbers, but not as good as the first numbers. That is 15 minus 2 for 13.
Wow. A roll that is literally over 2 times better than the last two. Yeah. Jeez.
Should I die? Am I stupid?
Is there a lore reason for still going on? So, I'll say this. Ricky falters once again.
Ricky.
He stops, turns around, stares at you.
I think he sees that I'm slowing down and look relieved that he's doing that.
Yes, and he also looks at your just naturally disheveled look.
Yes, I look very
as you've been
disheveled.
sprinting through the woods mid, not even a full rest. You look in his face, and like I said earlier, you don't necessarily know what he's saying because you don't understand him. He understands you. And from his face, you just look into his eyes from the distance, and you kind of see that it's starting to click with him that there is no I in hero.
Oh.
And
Ricky.
he needs to be able to work with others in order to get the story told. If there's no one to witness the tale, was the tale ever written? Ricky ponders this in the middle of the forest.
Ricky.
Do you choose to close the distance with Ricky, or do you choose to go back to Cerebos?
I need to close the distance with Ricky. I need to keep I'm at this point, I've slowed down a little bit like to a jog. I'm not trying to because if he stopped, like I'm still trying to go towards him, but I don't want to like
He's about 40 yards away at this point.
yeah, I want to like not I don't want to give him the impression that I actually have more energy than I'm letting on. I want to look relieved that he has stopped, and I want to keep walking towards him in this moment of his realization. Um, I do want to also keep feeling for anything from the rod, hopefully. I'm hoping this stopping is giving Cerebas a little time to catch up. That's what Joe is thinking.
Okay. You will close the distance with Ricky
Okay.
slowly but surely. You're keeping a modest pace where you're still progressing towards him, but you're not necessarily trying to dead on sprint towards him.
Yeah.
The woods this night are pretty quiet, and you know what the mission entails, but yet you make an auditory. No, just give me a
No.
general perception check. General perception.
Patrick, don't do this to me. Okay. 13 minus 2 is 11.
With an 11, you've noticed it starts to click because you haven't necessarily been paying attention while running through the
Chasing.
woods. Um, After Ricky, you've only been thinking about Ricky, which is what he wanted you to do ultimately. That's what a hero always wants you to do is think about me.
Think about it.
And to that he succeeded, so much so that you have only just now registered that this is a mission about hunting wolves, and you've not heard any howls whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whether that's deliberate or not, you can't necessarily surmise, but nonetheless, you do notice that. And as you begin to close the distance with Ricky, you start to feel just the faintest pulse coming from the rod as the smallest semblance of a connection is being reestablished.
Oh, thank God. Oh no. What are you gonna fucking do? What are you gonna fucking do? I want to send through the rod, Sarah boss, are you okay? Like the feeling of like concern, if I can.
Give me an empathy check.
Okay. It's so bad. Okay. Okay. At least it's plus 3. Okay. 13 minus 2, 11.
11. With the 11, you feel one sharp, poignant kind of emotion
Okay.
come through the rod. And it's one that you have felt somewhat recently to an extent in your dream.
Uh,
And that emotion is help.
oh no. Fuck me. Um, I'm gonna say, shit. Ricky, Sarah boss is in trouble. We have to go back, and I'm gonna start running back.
You will begin running back Ricky will be in tow, and you'll spend. Give me another empathy check to see if you can kind of understand how distant Cerebos is.
Okay, there we go. That's a roll. That's a roll. That's what we like to see. Okay. That is a 15 minus 2 for 13. There we
Yep,
go.
yep, math.
Math.
With a 13, you know that she is within about 150 yards of you guys.
Okay.
You don't know where, with how large the forest is. You can choose to try to find her
Yeah.
together, or you can tell Ricky to split up and try to find her.
No, I'm gonna say, Ricky, come on, we can find her together. I know we can. And I am gonna do one yell for Cerebos.
Okay, with that yell, you will get a feeling of understanding coming from the rod, as you would understand that Cerebos recognized your voice and is now going to close in.
Oh my gosh, thank God. Okay, thank God.
Not before
Oh no.
a wolf enters your purview off from the left. About 50 yards from the left, a wolf staring at not you, Joe, but Ricky.
Oh.
And you know that it's just you and the wolf, really. I mean, Ricky can attempt to do something, but it's really just going to be you and him that are going to be fighting until Cerebos closes the distance, if she can close the distance with whatever is chasing her.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get ready to. I'm gonna pull out the spear, if I can. And I'm gonna
Can
say
you
to
roll
Ricky-
initiative?
Yes. Okay, yes, yeah, that's probably fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. You add your dex, right?
Yep.
Is it all? Do you roll all 3? I forget. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, not bad. But I'm assuming a wolf is better. Is it still -2? Yeah, it is. You said every roll. Okay. Math. My worst enemy, math. I got a 14 for a 12.
The wolf got a natural 15.
God, fuck you, man.
Alright, my bad. I should probably roll for Ricky, my boy.
Yeah, he's fast. He's powerful.
Well, Ricky
Roll a 5.
got an unnatural 15,
Okay.
which means the wolf will go, Ricky will go, then you will go.
Oh.
The
So
wolf,
this game-
seeing Ricky,
No.
is going to take the run action
No.
to gain close in 40 yards
Oh.
to be just 10 yards away from Ricky as he's bobbing and weaving through the trees, trying to kite on the outskirts, and he sees your spear in the purview, but doesn't necessarily pay you much mind, since you are not necessarily we'll call
Halla.
the prize. You're not the prize. And it will be Ricky's turn. Okay, so the Ricky will take his
Ricky.
turn. He will look at you, and he knows that you can't understand him, but the look in his eyes, you can't help but you couldn't mistake it. There is
Oh, no.
resolve. There is
No,
determination.
Ricky.
I am
No.
gonna murder the fuck out of this wolf. And he is gonna go and charge and make his attack.
No.
So that is going to hit. Wait.
No way. Oh, Ricky.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
It is gonna hit. It is gonna hit. Because he had a natural 12 plus his attack is pretty decent. So
Oh my god, Ricky, I underestimated you.
he has no stun points, unfortunately, but he does get to deal a d6 of damage plus some extra.
Yes, Ricky.
Oh my gosh, he got a natural 6. So
Ricky's better at rolling than I am.
Ricky is going to charge in and just horns, head down, horns first, just lunge into the wolf and just plunge him straight into the tree, pinning him down. And the wolf will just let out the faintest as he's just getting just gutted against the tree.
Yeah.
You'll see the blood just kind of start to spill out of the wolf in a, I'll say, gross, kind of uncomfortable flow as the braided horns are just puncturing him in a way that's atypical to typical puncture wounds. Ricky will pull himself back, and you'll see the blood start to drip down his horns, and he'll look at you, nod once again, and that will be your turn, Joe.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm going to how many yards away did Ricky impale this man into this wolf into the tree?
He's 15 yards away from you.
Okay, so I want to, as my major action, it's a major action and a minor action, right? Or is that right? Or is it two minor I can't remember. No, I got it. I want to tell you what I'm going to do. I want to throw the spear, preferably at the wolf, in its head.
Yep. That'll be a range attack.
Yes, and then I would like to concentrate. Here.
You could do a minor action aim and get a +1.
Well, the thing is, I want to, I don't actually think there is a combat skill for it. I was hoping, because there's the defend and there's the guard up. I was hoping to have a action, and maybe this would be prepare, to, like, take or, like, stand in front of an attack that Ricky would take.
Say that once again.
So I would like to throw the spear.
Yep.
And then run up to them, or as close as I can get. Oh, the movement is an action, right?
Movement is a minor action.
Yeah.
So with 15 yards, you would not, unless you're taking the run action, you would not be able to physically close the distance.
Yeah. There are two minor actions. You stand ready to pursue the enemy if you fall back or for your blows. Declare an adjacent enemy come back to you when you do this until the beginning of your next turn. Fuck me. Okay, I'm going to throw the spear. Because I can't even actually run all the way there, because I can only run 13 yards.
I know.
Yeah. Or
So,
move 13 yards.
So are you going to aim and throw?
Shit, I have to, don't I? Ranged attack. Yeah, fuck me. Oh, oh! I can actually get in within melee weapon range. It says in an enemy within 2 yards of you is considered adjacent, and if I move all 13 yards, I'm adjacent.
Okay.
And then I can use my sword instead. Um,
So that's what you're
yeah,
gonna do?
I think so because I want to be close so that I can be close. Um, and try and protect Ricky. Is there another way I could like do that with my ranged attack? Could I like throw my could I throw the ranged attack weapon and then like throw Ricky my fucking shield? I don't know.
No, no, no. Your best hope right now is to kill the fucking wolf.
Okay. So then I think um I have 3d6 plus 4 written beneath the throwing spear, and I forget why that
So
is.
you
Is
roll
that like
3d6 and then you add 4 because you have to roll
okay?
the
So
3d6 to the hit. Your plus 4 comes
oh
from your proficiency plus your dex, I believe, or your
yeah,
strength.
yeah. That's what it is. It's the 3d6 that I was confused about because
Yeah, everything is done with 3d6 typically except
yeah,
damage.
because the damage says 1d6 plus 3, but then I have it like corrected to 3d6 plus 4, so I don't know.
So do the thing. Do the thing. You got this.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay. 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 That is it.
Subtract 2.
I'm mathing. I'm mathing. -2 is 16 to hit.
That is going to hit. Do you have any style points, stunt points?
I rolled 2 4s actually.
So go to your combat stunts table and you got 4 points to spend.
Oh my gosh. Fuck yes. Okay. Dual strike. Your attack is so strong and affects your targets. No. Seize the initiative. Your attack changes the tempo of battle. You move to the top of the initiative order. Oh shit.
I would recommend
Lightning.
lightning attack or threaten.
Let's see. Well, I can't do the lightning attack because I don't have another ranged weapon. I have a dagger, I guess, but
You can make a second attack with against the same enemy within range and sight. You must have a loaded
you
missile
must
weapon
have
to make
loaded
a
this
ranged
weapon.
attack. That's only if you
But
want to
this
make a
is
ranged attack.
yeah, no, I know. I'm saying the loaded missile weapon was the spear that I'm already throwing, so I can't. I don't have a second missile.
No, that's only if you want to make a ranged attack. You
Oh,
can't just say I shoot my crossbow, lightning attack. Oh, I shoot it again. No, you have to have another one ready to go. That's only if you want to make a ranged attack. You can throw the spear, do your 13 yards, and then strike with your sword as you close in the distance.
oh, okay. I see what you mean. Okay,
So you get an additional opportunity to attack if you take lightning attack.
okay, okay. I see what you mean. Um, yeah, I'll do that, and then I'll spend the one other point to mm,
It's either stay aware or skirmish.
yeah, um, I'm gonna do skirmish so that I can put myself within between Ricky and the wolf
Okay.
with the 2 extra yards. Yeah.
Okay. So you can absolutely basically close the distance, get in the middle of you two, and Ricky, now seeing you and how you've been stepping it up right now. You know,
Oh
you're
no.
a slow motherfucker, but you're really kicking ass right now. He's kind of in awe of you. Um,
Okay.
make your second
Wait, do I have
attack
to
now.
roll damage? Okay. Wait, but the first one that was just to hit. I didn't roll the damage.
Okay, yeah. So roll damage, then roll to hit, then roll damage if you hit.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. So the first one is a 11 damage,
Okay.
and then the second to hit is oh, and I have to remember 3d6 plus 4. So that's my proficiency. Okay, so it probably is the same thing for this sword. Um, bad roll, bad fucking roll. This might not hit actually. 10 minus 2, so 8 to hit.
Yeah, so that is not going to hit. As you strike at this wolf, he yelps out in pain as you and Ricky are kind of assailing him and beating the shit out of him. But as you come down with your sword, your sword just skirmishes across his wet, matted fur and doesn't really connect with anything as it hits the ground. That will be the end of your turn, and it will bring it back up to the wolf's turn. The wolf will basically strafe you and go and bite at Ricky.
No.
And because Ricky is still so close to both of you guys, he will not trigger a sort of opportunity attack from you because he'll still be right there. As the wolf is now, it's go time for him.
Does Ricky get some kind of like, you know, like defense bonus from me standing in front of him at all?
No. No, you're not a paladin, unfortunately. So meets beats. He does not get any stun points, but he does get to deal. Oh, rolled low on damage. That's unfortunate. He dealt 5 points of damage on Ricky.
How's Ricky looking?
Ricky is a little. So the wolf bit him right in the upper leg, almost in the shoulder, and the pelt is definitely red, dripping down his upper leg, and you get the idea that he's holding his own. He can't do this forever, but he's holding his own right now.
Okay.
It's now Ricky's turn, and Ricky, he's pissed. He doesn't take this shit.
No.
Not from you, and certainly not no fucking wolf. So
Yeah.
he is going to. Well, let's just see if he hits before I tell you what he does. 2. All right, that's a 16 total, so that's definitely gonna hit. So Ricky is gonna get on his fucking hind legs, stand up, and horns glowing in the moonlight. He's gonna keep his head up and hooves down as he clobbers down onto the wolf's head with his front hooves and just bops him right on the head. He does 6 damage. And he just does another as he just. He's tilted, but he's getting his shit off right now, so let him live. So that'll be his turn. Joe, it is now your turn.
Oh, Ricky, my beloved. I'm going to once again. Oh, actually, that's right. I can do a different thing this time. Is there a way I can try and take it, position myself in a way to try and take whatever damage Ricky will take, kind of like I did with Cerebos before?
I would say because of how large Ricky is relative to you, you can't necessarily be the meat shield in front of him. Unless you are physically restraining the wolf itself, and trying to hold him down. And then you basically set up the alley-oop for Ricky to stab the wolf to death. There's not really a feasible way where the wolf is just going to be like, I just am going to have to get to the human. Now, if you had done the threaten or taunt, that would have done something. But that's the past. We're in the now. Maybe you get stun points again. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'm going to... Yeah, I'm just gonna attack, I suppose. That's all-out attack. You attack one additional enemy with hand-to-hand combat, throwing your full weight or your strength behind the attack. Even though your ability to react to counter-strikes will suffer. If you do hit, you do +1 damage. Oh, well, no, okay. I'm just gonna regular attack.
Okay. Roll
with
the
the sword because I'm at close range. Okay, so that's 13, so 11.
Just misses. Just misses as your sword again just seems to not, with how wet the blade is and how much blood is on the fur, you just can't seem to connect adequately as the wolf is juking you out. It's now the wolf's turn as he takes an additional strike.
Minor action?
Yeah, take a minor action.
I want to... You pick one major action that you can prepare to execute and then end your next turn. Okay, so that I don't think works, does it? I can't do prepare because I already did the major action, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Unless, yeah.
I guess I'm just going to immediately, can I do press the attack?
Yes, you may.
Okay, yeah, so I just declare that I will attack if it moves out of my immediate... Yeah.
Okay. You may absolutely do that. It will... That ends your turn.
Yeah.
That will bring it to the wolf's turn. The wolf will we'll take another bite on Ricky. This time going for the other shoulder and hoping to get it to a state where it will be limping. Or if not maiming.
Yeah.
So that will be a hit. And this will be 6 points of damage as Ricky takes it into the other shoulder. This time, Ricky kind of faltering, but not because he heard a convincing speech, but because he's getting his front legs torn by these bites. And as Varen and Kleza told you earlier today, these bites, they are very haphazard and sloppy. The wolf is kind of like getting these awkward almost side chomps or nibbling with just this front teeth. Just very awkward, almost not necessarily knowing what it's doing to its most effective ability. Mm-hmm. And with that last bite, it will notice that Ricky is still up and begin to run away.
So I get my attack?
You do.
Oh my gosh.
Roll to attack.
Do I attack with my sword or am I like punching it? Like, how does it work?
You are still have your sword equipped, so you would still be doing your sword.
Please, 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 please. Mm. Oh my gosh, why is this math just fucking with me so hard? 12.
A 12 just misses.
What? You said an 11 just misses last time.
I know. It's because if you did not have a subtract 2, it would have hit.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
So you swing and you just barely clip the tail of the wolf as it starts to begin its run deeper into the forest. As you watch its run, it's pretty gutted at this point, and there is a blood trail. Not massive, but significant enough, and you'll see off into the distance between the trees through a very narrow sight line, you would see the beginnings of the edge of a large rock, one that would be on your map. And at this point, Joe, you need to make another decision.
Well, wait, hold on. How many feet or yards away does it get in its respective, like, turn?
It'll get 16 yards away.
So can we still do the round of initiative so I can throw my spear at it?
You can. Ricky will then, with how much damage he's taken, he is going to stay where he is and begin to lick his wounds as he is trying to take care of himself now, making himself a priority. And he will stay idle, look up at you with a somewhat begging look to get the job done, as it is your turn. 16 yards away is the wolf.
Yes. So I will minor action pick up the spear. Or minor action switch to the spear, however you want to consider that. And I will throw the spear at the wolf.
Do it.
Please, please, please. I rolled so bad. I rolled so bad. I don't hit. I throw a sprint, I don't hit.
What was the total?
Well, I got a 12 for a 10.
Oh, tough. Yeah. With that, you throw the spear, and it just nails the tree adjacent to the wolf as he begins his run. It's now the wolf's turn, and now that he is running, he is going to take the run action, not just move, and so his movement speed will double as he begins to gain vast distance between you guys. You now have a decision to make, Joe. Do you insist upon chasing after the wolf? Do you insist upon tending to Cerebos and what she may be going through? Or do you tend to Ricky's immediate needs?
I have to immediately attend to Ricky's needs because at hopefully not moving more will be a plus. Hopefully Cerebos, like, not moving will be more helpful for her finding us than us moving from where we are. I'm gonna try and help Ricky.
Okay. I'll say make a healing check.
With fucking cunning. If I fail it, does it get worse?
I would say no.
Okay. Then I
Unless it
will.
is a critical failure.
What's that, like 3 ones?
Yeah, in that neighborhood, yeah.
Okay. Not in that neighborhood. Not in that fucking neighborhood, bro. Um, that's a 12 for a fucking 10!
And with a 10, you start to wrap the bandages around Ricky as he looks at you inquisitively, trying to help any way he can by staying still, repositioning his shoulder. But with the blood coming out, you see the bandages just start to slip and not necessarily be able to hold and stay around his shoulder. You're gonna need to use a new set of bandages and try again,
Okay.
or allow maybe someone else to potentially heal.
Okay. Um, can I, like, is there an equivalent of, like, a help action to help him heal himself?
Uh, he is trying to help you, but
Oh. Okay. Um,
so I'll say, yeah, you can make an additional check, but there's not really. It's a Halla. He's not. He doesn't have thumbs to be like, yeah, put that shit right here, and I'll help you out.
yeah. Um, okay. Um, um, yeah, I guess I'll just have to try again. I mean, I don't think I have anything. I have rope. Uh, I have a ration. Is that helpful for a fucking holla? Like,
He'll be
um,
nourished, but that won't stop the bleeding.
well, what about the 5 minute rest? I know it's a long fucking time in like this scheme of what's happening here, but
Would you
he
like
technically.
Would you like Ricky to take a 5 minute rest in these wolf infested woods while Cerebos is?
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I have to try and heal him again, right? I have to. No, no, I don't get better. I don't get better. I get a 9 this time total.
With a 9, again, the bandages just don't seem to stay. You, as an Orlesian male woman, didn't necessarily have the experience of one that aids soldiers, works in an infirmary, anything like that. You don't necessarily know war. You don't necessarily know wounds like these. And so, because of that inexperience, you find yourself struggling. The good news is, just 30 yards behind, off to your left, to Ricky's right, you see someone that does know how to heal wounds well.
They got it. Sarah Boss, please say Sarah Boss.
That person is Cerebos.
Who's following her?
The bad news is an additional wolf is chasing her down as she is covered in bite marks on her own as she is bleeding out. And we'll end the session there.
You're an evil person. I don't like you. Fuck me.
So, we had a lot going on today. Big session, big session. Kind of big, kind of. It was fun. It was impactful, scary, spooky. Made you a little uncomfortable.
You delight in my torture. You delight in my pain.
Look, actually, I can't even say it, but you were not supposed to roll a 5 on 2 animal handling checks. That's what I will say.
Yeah.
That was not part of the script. To me, I'm like, yep, She's gonna walk through the woods. In fact, I was stressing. I was like, how am I gonna make the woods interesting? I always find like exploration kind of like hard because it's like, oh, yep, more. You see a lot more trees and you see a lot more leaves, and there's still trees and leaves, and it's fall and all that type of stuff. But when you roll bad, you naturally just make things interesting for me because it's like, oh shit. Well, guess what? Ricky is a hero and he's on his own now.
No. No.
All right. So, as with every session, tell me, what did you love? What was your favorite part? What did you hate? What did you think could have been done so much better? Shocks, surprises, anything that didn't shock or surprise you, things you look forward to, anything like that.
Um, I liked the fucking what the fuck the like blacksmith with the iron bark. He was cool. I also liked the Halla keeper a lot. I also liked the keeper a lot. She seems interesting, and I liked her allowance of me to work with Cerebos to help in the situation. Yeah, I know it.
We didn't get a chance to explore it deeper, which is
Yeah,
interesting. But it would have been explored had you not rolled those fives. You and Cerebos could have just walked through
yep,
the woods and talk about things. But
yeah.
um,
You would have thought that would have been the case, right? You would have thought.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
personally. That's what I would have thought.
So
So
that was very interesting. But no, I agree. I agree. That's one of the things I like is because you have an affinity for Cerebos, and then okay, well, what about all these other groups of people that
yeah,
are that have different experiences in relationship with a warring nation? So, um,
yes.
I do
It's
look
very
forward to
interesting
exploring that.
because yeah, it's interesting to explore the like the thought processes behind like when there's a group of people responsible for something terrible and someone's in that group and technically they have benefited from being in the group doing terrible things and have grown up in the group doing terrible things, but you don't think that they are inherently bad. And so it's interesting to like be like, well, should they be punished the same way? Like, what should I do if I'm like not part of that? Like, it is an interesting thing to think about how different people would handle that situation. So, yeah.
I am. It's one of my favorite things that I look forward to exploring as we get deeper and deeper into this mini
Mm,
campaign because the world is full of different peoples and different factions that have
yeah.
different relationships with this particular conflict. And my goal is not necessarily to force Joe to pick a side, but at least have Joe
In tough
understand a lot
conversation.
of the sides,
Yeah.
um, and witness firsthand um, how complicated war and culture can truly be.
Yes,
And
yes.
it sounds so corny and trite, but it is kind of one of those things where it's like, but from a certain point of view, these individuals are right. And from certain points of view, these individuals are wrong. And
Mhm.
the no right, no wrong situations are very fun to explore. And I'm very excited to see how that goes going forward and how you slash Joe react when they're put in those situations. But until then, we got to protect Ricky, man. We got
Yeah,
to
Ricky,
protect
Ricky's
Ricky.
my favorite. Ricky was able to bring back some of the more gaminess of Joe a little bit, just like her saying shit
Yep.
because she can, um, which is good because she's been just kind of wallowing in the misery since like the end of session 0.
Hey, you guys had a good time in session two. I refuse to
We
believe
did.
that it was difficult.
No, it was
There was
no,
no
it was
combat, no combat.
there's no combat, but it was like still emotional harm.
Maybe, potentially, probably. Um, yeah, it's one of the pros and cons about this period is the pros um,
The pro.
it's in the moment. Everything's happening in real time, and you kind of have to deal with the swings as they come. It's not like this is a retrospective on the Quinari. This is an in the moment of what this people wants as opposed to what everyone else wants, which is cool. But at the same time, now I have to understand that everyone will have very definitive resolutions on what they will allow for this type of people to be around them. And
Yeah.
it makes it difficult to be like, you unfortunately Joe just can't walk into a tavern with Sarah Boss and be like,
Right.
hey, what's up everyone, and everyone's like, oh, what the fuck is that thing doing with you, you know? So
Yeah.
which makes it fun for me because I have to like I wrote myself in that corner, and I have to find a way to make sure that this is a viable campaign, but also acknowledge that, yeah, no, you can't just go to the capital of Antiva with Cerebos and be like, how can we help?
Exactly. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good because it's so exactly exactly what would happen to her. Like I was thinking about it after the first session, and I was like, I don't know, maybe like that's not what she would have actually done. And I just made a choice in the moment because I didn't know. But now I'm like I'm reflecting on it, and I'm like, no, like this is the choice she would have made, and she's going to suffer the consequences of it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
even if she won't admit that they're consequences, really.
yeah.
Uh, so that's fun.
I'm always looking forward to the day or days or inevitability or not inevitability that Joe has to say something if and when she has to reconfront Zariel and Bront,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that would be
how
good.
they're gonna feel and all that type of stuff. So
Yeah. Oh, in the back of my mind, I was like, "Oh God, what if whatever is attacking their boss is them?" I was like, "It's either a wolf or it's them."
oh man, I wish. No, unfortunately, that is not where we're at. I wish it was as simple as just Zariel and Braun doing their thing, but it's not that simple. Um, you have given me some interesting problems as a game master, a Dragon Age DM of sorts, and I have like thought, okay, how am I going to address these problems? Because these problems should probably be nipped in the bud kind of sooner than later. But how do I do that? And so I'm currently in the process of figuring out how to do that. So I'm very interested to see how you do it, how you react to the situations I put you in, because um, if they don't go how I planned, then I failed. But if they do go as planned, then awesome. But the failure part is always interesting. It's always interesting. When stuff doesn't go to plan, it's always fun. When Ricky is just like, I'm fucking gone, man. I am the hero. That is awesome to me. That is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry, I'll just roll some fives and fuck everything up.
Yep, yep, yep. Welcome to Reclamation.
Oh,
Uh, where
I'm so excited for
where your
that.
story is
Oh,
not decided on your choices, but on your rules.
oh.
But anyways, anything else you want to highlight before we wrap this up? I think we both kind of touched on the things that we liked. The Ironbark stuff, I really didn't think I was gonna be getting into, but it was just freestyled on the spot. I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
okay,
it
we
was
can go into it.
fun like egg because we've played the games and we know how cool Ironbark is.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that was just fun to have that little moment. No, yeah, I think the major thing is I'm like just so I'm sad that I didn't get the like I'm sad about the fucking fives because I really wanted to talk to Sarah Boss about what I talked to Grima about or Grimna about. And clearly not fucking happen. So and that was, just because the dice. It wasn't that was the dice telling the story. That wasn't us. That was the dice. So
yeah, yeah. The dice have an equal stake in the story as everyone else, and I
exactly.
hate it. And I hate it. But yeah, so we're next session. We're gonna get into this wolf uh, saving Ricky and maybe finding the root of these issues, which I'm looking forward to all of these things and how they happen.
Oh
And
God, me too.
I am. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be a great. In the meantime, I bid you guys adieu. This was a great session. Great for everyone involved, I think, and
Especially Ricky.
especially Ricky. Ricky had a blast. I asked him. He had a great time. He needs help with his blood, and apparently Pearl can't roll higher than a 13 to save her life. To save
Hey,
Ricky's
man.
life, I should say. My bad.
Hey man,
But
listen, okay, I rolled very good several times today, not when it needed to be.
very interested to see if you guys kill Ricky and how that plays
No.
out, because I also don't have a plan for what happens if you guys kill Ricky, but that's my problem. All right. On that happy note, you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Night.